Oh, a great way to start off our day. It's one of our two best of threes, as always, here in VCT EMEA. What about our next game? It's OG London United going up against G2. It's time for us to have a chat, friends. Let's dig into it.
So, of course, these two teams are not, not coming in at the same way. Oglu is still waiting to find a win here at stage 2, and G2. I mean, it was very uncomfortable for them to play against FPX because of the things that they were bringing in new. So I expect to see some adaptation coming in from G2.
And in general, like, this is one of those matches where Oglu, in this case, has nothing to lose, right? They play against a bigger opponent, quote unquote, and they have everything to prove to, they have everything to gain from this match, while G2 is in a group of death that they actually are fighting for that third position, at least currently, with the current wins, right? So they cannot underestimate Oglu, and because of that, also Oglu has more reads into the G2 because there's more reps, more maps being played by G2, and in general, Oglu was playing less maps this year so far. So this is an uncomfortable spot for G2 to be at, and Oglu has, well, because of that, I feel like a small advantage in the preparation phase.
To me, when we talk about stage 2, every single team started facing the same problem. It's not only that the Fade is coming in, you have the Jet nerf, the Chamber nerf, the Sova nerfs everywhere. So each team took a different route to facing the problem. What Oglu did was not only changing one player, but also trying to bring in the Fade on Icebox. They decide to run it, okay? They play against Ascend, and they see that the Reyna, that Zenit is pushing onto them, that they literally have no chance of doing anything against them. And they're like, okay, we learned a little bit from this. We need to use the utility a little bit faster, yada, yada. Next week, they go up against Fnatic. They're like, we're not going to see the Reyna again. That is like a one-time thing. The problem is that Fnatic not only has a perfect read onto them and not only not allowing them, they didn't even get a single round against them. So to me, there is much more that you learn from a defeat, but now they're really not fighting, like in their heads, it's going to be extremely complicated to make it to playoffs, but they still have to fight to make it into last chance qualifier, to say the least.
And also, it's actually very important what you mentioned about Icebox, how they played. When they played against Ascend was punishing their over-aggression on defense a lot. And one of the reasons why that was allowed is because Fade was being used in a very, let's say, obvious manner, where the utility being used on the map appears on the map, and you can read the position from Oglu's players in that moment. And that was being done against Fnatic as well. So it feels like this is the time, if we play Icebox, of course, Oglu has to change the way they're playing defense and not to be over-aggressive with those pushes.
Our highlight head-to-head, Mozy versus Nuki. What does it look like?
I mean, I have to see what it looks like, because I still haven't looked at the stats. But every single time that we talk about Oglu, someone that always performs, even if they don't get the win, is Molsey. And for the side of G2, now that they're going up against them, it's Nuki that we see and expect to be performing on the stage. So Nuki is on top of there because we know that he doesn't only play from a supportive role, he sometimes is also on the duelist. But to me, it's interesting to have this if we get that Sova head-to-head.
It's a rough head-to-head because you're against one of the most consistent players on the planet. Nuki is like, I feel like every time we speak about him, I say the same stuff, but it's like, that's what you want to have. It's a consistent player, right? You can repeat it over and over again. He's like the backbone of the team. You can always expect Nuki to be fragging out, but it's also like he will do it on every single character. And, well, hopefully, we're going to see him maybe on the new character as well.
Well, we actually got to sit down and talk to Nuki a bit earlier today, so let's see what he had to say. Good morning, Nuki, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today in the interview. And before we get things, nice and deep today, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Doing good, an easy one for all of this. And I want to talk about a bit of a more difficult matchup, the one that you had against FPX in week 2. Now, yes, it went to the edge on both maps, but what do you think were some of the difficulties that you faced in that game, and what do you think you've learned in preparation for today?
I mean, we made a lot of individual mistakes that we couldn't fix fully from the focus game, and it was shown, and a bit of mentality edge was on FPX. I feel like they were ready to face us, so I think that was the small advantages they had against us. Even though the game was close, we learned a lot from what we can fix, including map pool and picks. So we'll see.
All right. Well, G2 has already played, the Neon, the Chamber, but no Fade yet. And if I remember correctly, in the preview to Fade, you said yourself that you'd see yourself playing the Agent maybe one day. Is today the day?
We'll see. Depends on the bans and picks, whatever happens. Maybe you'll see me on Fade, maybe you will not. I don't want to give a spoiler yet, but yeah, that's all I can say for now.
Fair enough. Well, I'm definitely crossing my fingers for it. And, top 3 finish and going to playoffs is, I think, something a lot of people expect, fans and G2 themselves, for, this is what we want to see. What do you see as changes needed for you to really break into the top 3 and hold on to the position in stage 2?
I mean, overall, just a bit of stability in the roster. Just people having a bit more, should I say, how can I phrase it properly? Just a bit more individual, performance on stability in that aspect, because been struggling. Either we perform really good, all of us, or we underperform individually a lot. So just stability for us to fight against these teams in the bracket we have.
You talked about FPX's preparation against you for last week. How do you prepare yourself for the upcoming 2 big games that you'll have in week 4 or 5, not even counting today?
I think the main focus is just working on your own personal game, working on what works for your team and not looking too much at the opponents, and then readapting mid-game. So that's the things we were working on, just fixing all the small details we can, and then adjusting and getting used to the opponents and how they play, and then trying to create a plan of that.
At the top tier, the devil is in the details, and that's what G2 is looking for. Nukia, thank you very much for this interview, and good luck in your matchup.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you very much to Nukia for answering a few of these questions and shedding a bit more light on what is to expect today of G2, Kaguka.
Yeah, one of the things that I picked up from that interview is him saying that maybe the underperforming is a little bit contagious on the team, that they need to work on each thing individually, not as a whole. So I don't know how I feel about that, because we've seen this squad for a very long time already, especially this year with the new additions of Meadow and Hoodie. I think that Hoodie right now is one of the masterpieces that we have in EMEA, and definitely so needed for G2 to show up on every single game. And even though they had that loss against FPX, probably all the preparation that FPX put onto them took its toll. They were not ready, probably not expecting the swaps, and even though rounds were going in and out, and we saw finally that chamber that was the last one to be provided for, saying that G2 plays it on every single map, it was still missing that extra firepower, and if it's contagious, I don't know how it's going to look against Oglu. They have a fair shot to take the win today, and maybe it's what the team needs.
It's kind of interesting to hear that that feedback from Nukia about his team, right? Because for me, at least from my perspective, outside perspective, I always felt like G2 has a problem with the macro, not the micro itself, right? And that the reason of underperforming on an individual level is because they don't know how to capitalize on the advantages that they gained, or how to punish those mistakes, and they just have the fundamentals are not the best, But to hear that that Nukia has this opinion is just showcasing that maybe there's a different root problem that they need to find, but it seems like they didn't find it yet.
A root problem to be addressed for specific maps, maybe, which is kind of the theory crafting bit now. What do you expect to see here, Kaguka?
Yeah, so we know from Oglu that they do not like to play bind. So against G2 is a fair shot, because G2, historically would love bind. And on the side of G2, I think this is a match made in heaven, because they don't like Haven at all. And Oglu came in here being like, Haven is our home. So I expect those two to be the bans. My question is, will we see Icebox? And is any of the teams actually going to pick it? Will it end up as a decider? I don't know.
In general, the map pool is on the side of G2. They have a wider map pool. They played all the maps. They have, as you said, the bind is out of the question. If of course, Oglu will ban it, but we'll see if that's actually happening.
Whoa! Wait a second.
They've gone from picking Icebox to banning Icebox. I was going to say the one that picks the Icebox is going to lose the veto, but the fact the Daylift bind open for G2, and G2 decided to go to a different map, tells us that they learned something like maybe from BBL last week, that if a team floats a map to you, we do not want to go there. It's not going to be that easy yet, because they know that G2 love bind.
Well, directly into Ascent. We saw a breeze there. We'll talk about it later on when we get to it. But that's going to be a big one. But please, Lothar, take us through the agent picks.
So, in general, we G2 on Ascent played KO, Raze, Sova, Chamber, and Omen last time I've seen so far. But the look he is on Fade.
Oh my god!
Let's go. Let's go.
It's the question.
What?
Jet?
Wait, what?
No way.
KO, no Chamber. That is absolutely insane. Those are so many changes.
They're mixing it up.
Mixwell is like, I would say, one-trick Chamber, right? And then right now on Ascent, we're not gonna see the Chamber like we have seen in the previous time they played it. There are so many changes here. No Sova on one side, but I really like the Oglu actually composition, because there are two initiators, and when you can combine the Sova and Fade utility on one side during the attack, is like almost impossible to stop. It's so hard to be actually holding a side with so much like recon power combined with those two agents.
You only have the flash on the Omen, so you're going to be very careful with that one. The last time that Mixwell moved from something else, I remember him playing on Cypher, on Sky sometimes. Personally, not my favorite. Do I love that we get to see Nukia playing on Fade? I love it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how fair of a shot it is. How good is it that you get Hoodie performing and then you all of a sudden decide that, hey, he's a star, let's just put him on Jet. I don't know how I feel, but they're here to answer my questions.
It's an exciting way to start off the game. That's the least that we can say. And let's get it started then. Ascent! We got Pansy and Tom to take you through it. Enjoy.
Well, this has certainly turned my attention towards the game because, Tom, if I'm honest, I saw the matchup and I thought, well, OG's got their work cut out to say the least, but that comp has brought my attention right back in.
Yeah, I feel like we've got an awful lot to talk about, and we've got to play a little video. So I'm just going to throw it off to that so we can get back and talk about the comps.
Okay, Tom, talk to me about this composition for the one and only G2 here, because, do you know what? I'm happy seeing Fade coming out. I'm happy with some of these changes, but give me some method to this. Talk me through it.
They've stolen FPX's comp, haven't they?
It's quite nice.
That's what they've done. Like, obviously, they've removed the Sage and brought in the KJ for Meadow. That's just a comfort pick. Like, I feel like him on that agent makes a lot more sense in general. Obviously, it's the roles that are a little bit weird. I'm not actually too against like someone like Hoodie playing that more aggressive role. Probably one of the best Marshall players we actually have, which is not something you'll think too much about. But trust me, he's really good with that gun. Mixwell, also going back to the agent we compare most to Counter-Strike. Well, as a Counter-Strike veteran, maybe it'll work.
We hope, right? You know, the Hopium Club, the one that you love so much, Tom.
I love it. The can't Hopium with it.
But I guess we wait and see how this looks, because obviously a lot of us really started to enjoy Fade, especially on this map when we got to see FPX bring it out, right? They were really innovative. It looked fantastic, maybe a little one-sided to a degree. We didn't get to see its full depth brought to, but again, one of the maps that really seems to suit it. But you already see OG on the attacking side. Of course, that does then mean G2 will be on the defending side, and we have to wait and see, because I'd say this is on paper quite a one-sided affair. Yeah. But G2 haven't been necessarily clean this season either. But again, you'd still expect them to have that capability.
See, this is the thing. Like, it's a way that G2 can almost test the comp in an official game. The problem is they cannot afford to lose this game. Like, they will be in an awful spot, especially, I think they've still got, what, Ascend and Fnatic left. So, not easy games at all.
No, it certainly gets a little bit tricky at that point, doesn't it? Now, 3 players sat super deep on this site, so Becky could really do with this going his way, and it's a bit whiffy, but Mixwell does win it, gets to fall back to site and keep his life for now. There are 2 more players out super deep on the site here, and already it's looking quite good for G2 with Hoodie finding 2, shot and a half from Destrian, and that, bad hype! Living up to the name, putting Meadow under the gun, and now the spike's going to go down with only a couple of seconds left to spare. But trying to clear this player is going to be difficult. Bear in mind, while this happens, Destrian's already repositioned, and that's actually a shot from Meadow, but good positioning from Destrian to be proactive, put himself around towards Tree and make sure he was within trading range, but OG pulling it back from the brink there. That one looked like it was going to be G2's favor.
Yeah, I feel like getting a little too tunnel visioned in and just forgetting about other portions of the map. That quick wraparound being possible just, well, both players so focused in that Hype does wonders for the squad. And yeah, getting off to a flying start. Of course, with G2 like testing basically a lot of things in this map, it's one of the best opportunities I think we have for Oglu to actually do some damage here, because I think most people, including myself, have them firmly in the sort of relegation battle rather than playing for a spot.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. So I guess it's wait and see. Imagine there is a world where, you know, maybe G2 get a little too weird with it. Comp doesn't sit as comfortably as they'd like. You know, it could happen.
Do you know what?
But it could.
This will sound like madness, and it is.
Go on.
I genuinely believe there's a world where G2 lose this game and win the last two and qualify. That would be the most G2 way to qualify for something ever. Just, I think that there's a world where they beat Fnatic on the last day and we have no idea why.
I do love the fact that people have just realized you said pineapple on pizza. You were really putting faith in that 10-second countdown, weren't you?
I said like, what can I say that would be controversial and, in case we're hot mic'd? And that was it.
I'm glad I didn't go off the absolute chain and just say something mad. Oh dear. Okay, we've got to walk up middle. And again, you can see the purchase that G2 has. This shouldn't be too much of a problem for OG, under the assumption they don't leave it too late or get caught out potentially. There are 3 players on this B site, so maybe make it 4 with old Tommy. He's putting in work. Trying to. Not gone well so far for him, sadly. And Nuki is going to at least find Destrian, but it is all effective trade so far. And no subtlety to his fallback either. Feeling the full force of Fade as the site is taken. Spike should be able to be planted, and they have 15 seconds to spare.
Yeah, not really any danger left in this round. Like, there is utility available for G2, but I don't expect them to use any of it. Just wasteful going into the next round. And Becky as well, just trying to basically get as many ultimate orbs as he can. Not a bad round for Oglu whatsoever. Of course, like, a team ace is always nice, but in these sort of rounds, you almost kind of hope that someone farms the frags, because now they go into this bonus round with no ults. Well, I'll say particularly close. Maybe Destrian can get one online.
Could be. Certainly a potential for it, but you're right. It's quite nice to prop up a couple of players if it does give you one of those ults that really can be an instigator or a game changer to a round. So as it stands, no one quite building too close, but you're right. There are a couple not too far away, but you wouldn't particularly say Hype's could be changing the way a round goes down at this point. But someone like Destrian certainly could be. But we do see the bonus now coming through, of course, for Oglu. I have to say OG. I can't say Oglu. It just upsets me. I don't know why. But on the other side for G2, a good purchase.
Let's call him London then.
You sound like you're from London. Yeah. Hoodie. Gonna find Vecu. And a nice little first pick. So no naughtiness could be happening towards middle. But again, you look at what they can really achieve with this buy, and it's if they can do damage, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, just being delayed again. Smokes out from Avova. Not really spotting anything in this direction. So because of that, they rotated the other way. It might give a little bit of extra space. Prowler's going to give away that there's still players on this side of the map, and relying on this hold to come through. Still 2 players to the back of site, especially with the range advantage, could be quite difficult for this take.
Yeah, I want to see if they have the capability to close the gap, or if it's just kind of a little bit lackluster. That's not going to actually help G2 too much. That's going to force him to the back of the side. That's fantastic. Now, yes, it does reveal a whole lot of information, but Meadow is in danger. He's going to be able to keep his life down, actually find individual fights until the final one of Molesy going to catch Meadow and now get the upgrade for himself. But a 1v2 presented and no spike to hand just yet. Has to work that back, get the plant, get everything on his side. It ain't going to be easy either.
I have the spike.
A mixed one and Avova to deal with.
They're both waiting patiently, not wanting to give up any control. They know that at this point he has to go for the plant, and almost just using their utility to perfection. 8 seconds left. Again, they're just going to fall back in. Not going to have any utility to play with himself, and the time's already gone. All Avova has to do is survive, but all in all, that's not a bad round for Oglu. Yeah, incredibly costly. Mole's even going to get to keep a rifle and get his ult closer to being online, so they've done very well there.
You take that. You'll absolutely take that. You're not really meant to get the bonus rounds, but you'll take what this was given. And I mean, you could see how dangerous that got. If Meadow wasn't able to bail them out on that extra frag, picking up Hype there, potentially that could have been different. But again, and look at the buy coming back in here for G2. It's going to be pretty rough, to say the least.
Yeah, luckily they've got a Blade Storm, so I assume that Hoodie's going to try something pretty audacious going into this round. just going to fight for mid in the early stages. But yeah, they've got a Spectre, 2 Spectres, in fact, in the mix, playing into a round which ultimately they need to try and win.
Certainly no ease to this.
Face your fear!
Ooh, okay. I mean, that's a big investment here. Hoodie can barely know anything. Vision hindered, everything. But no punishment on it.
No. They've used basically all of their utility from Fade, and he's fine. He's just chilling. Like, I don't really understand that. Like, you throw in the ultimate especially. The whole point is that you are meant to put the pressure on because he can't hear you. He can't even really see because the Prowlers hit him as well. But a little bit wary out of the opposing side. And now they're going to be pushing into what is the utility stack again.
So there's the contact, and they know what's up. We did see there was a little bit of a lean away. You know, Hoodie had already gone exploring towards tree, maybe just off the back of that early contact. But you know where Oglu are. This isn't subtle. It's 30 seconds. You see waiting patiently towards CT is
30 seconds left.
Hoodie, hearing all the cross, gonna call it out. Actually gets caught up though. Hype gonna punish it. So towards the back of the side, but a great bit of timing for Nuki to swing out. And they're still gonna be running that clock pretty low here. Multi finds Meadow, which is just about fortunate enough until then. Disaster strikes and Nuki gets 2. That's brought this round back into check. Keep in mind Avova, yes, he's got the rifle, but Mixwell doesn't. He's got an upgrade available, so he's ready and raring to go. 2 on the site though for Oglu.
They've got a fair few flashes to play with as well. Paranoia, the first to go through. Pop flash on the other side to get anybody close, but it hasn't worked for Boo. And the trading from Oglu is on point. A conversion of round 4, leading them 3-1 up, and more importantly, putting the finances of G2 into question.
Okay, Oglu have a real shot at carving a good lead for themselves here. Just the way the money's gone at this point, the way the rounds have been faring, and being able to survive a round where Nuki's done that. It's a big tick in the box here, because again, a lot of things went, I guess, technically away from where you'd expect, right? All that early investment towards utility and mid, it didn't quite convert into a kill, but then, you know, the repump towards the site worked out so nicely. That's very impressive that we were able to convert that. We did note that the buy was a little bit here or there, but again, G2's money is certainly not out of the woods just yet either. Sheriffs, and that's about all she wrote. Ult's coming through, sure, but the same's gonna be said for Oglu in that first cycle of things coming online.
I think the main worry for me at the moment is the fact that most of these rounds have only really been close because G2 are getting multi-frags. Like the fact that Nuke is able to get way more than he should have. The fact that Meadow is able to get way more than he should have. It's like, these are sort of moments that, if anything, thus far, Oglu have been the better side, which, as I said, I almost feel like if G2 are going to qualify, they need to dominate this game. Look at what Fnatic did. 4 rounds over the series went in the favor of Oglu. That's the level we expect from G2 if they're going to be making it to Copenhagen.
Yeah, there is something to be said about playing like a favorite. You know what I mean? You don't have these close games. Hoodie. Oh, God. Oh, God. What is this? This is already just the absolute scenes.
Undo.
The timing could have been worse. Oh,
What is going on? Meadows found one as well through the smoke. This is starting to get really dangerous. Not like this.
weird.
Of all the rounds to lose, please, not like this. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. What just happened? Tom, I am baffled. Okay, that first shot, nice shot. Okay, cool. That's just, you know, it's a banger, right? They happen. You pick up a nice little, like, sheriff shot here or there. What happened after that? Because you're the analyst caster, Tom. Break down this round for me.
Mayhem. I don't understand how Meadow survived on this site with basically just his turret and a pistol. That's what he had in this round.
Mate. He's absolutely putting in work.
Oh no, and it takes away everything I just said as well, which makes it even better.
Find you.
The pick from Hoodie's nasty, but from then onwards, again, like Meadow does fantastic work being able to survive that long. They've actually popped. Okay, they're really trying to get this open and kill. Not bad. I think that was a couple of tags.
2? Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mixwell and Nuki both on the receiving end of this, but Hoodie in the meantime has taken space, which I quite like. They've given up this mid control to an extent. Hoodie's pushed out towards the other side, playing the extremities. Not a bad idea, but doing this against pistols can get deadly if they are just playing for trades potentially, but Hoodie capable to get out of there if he has to. Lovely work. Good for 1. Backs away. Doesn't need to outstay his welcome. And they seem hyper aware of this mid presence, which is no... I guess there's no subtlety to this either. Nuki should be aware, but actually gets caught off a little bit. Feku going to find the timing and work his way through. And now look how isolated they're going to feel on that B site.
A bit of a sleepy boy holding mid, it seems. Hoodie now at the back of the site, though, is going to be very, very difficult to clear. They've both been caught off, though, and can't actually move because of this. They are stuck in the mud and didn't hear the steps going in the other direction. We are having back-to-back stinky rounds, it seems, as somehow Oglu are now in the driver's seat.
Spike planted.
This is one to watch for sure. G2 caught sleeping a little in this round. Stacked up on Cat as well, going to make it hard for Avova to work his way in. Meadow now put to the challenge. A 1v3, sure, they're tagged, but he doesn't know how much by, and it's time to back away. What on earth just happened this round as well? Those two players at the back by Boathouse just got battered.
Yeah, they got seized.
I love it.
That was the
don't get me
problem.
wrong, I've actually really started to enjoy Fade because of this map specifically. Seen her on a couple of others, and it hasn't quite hit as hard, but seeing this... Oh man, this could be a fun one. If Oglu are up on it, right? If they are feeling comfortable with Destrian trying to hit his form on this too, this is going to be lovely to watch because this puts G2 under the gun, right? And makes them play a better game. I'm more than happy to see that. And if Oglu can keep pushing this, because now they had 3 standing, they brought the operator through, that's lovely. Every player's doing their job as well. There's not just one player having impact. Man, this could be fun.
I love the fact that they're abusing...
Look at that!
The deafen. That's the thing that I enjoy, because I feel like a lot of teams thus far, they've been able to utilize the fact that they get stunned up. We've seen how strong the Haunt can be, like, oh look, they're here. But I feel like not as many teams as I'd like to see have abused the fact that they can't hear footsteps when that comes through. Because they know that they're in that back corner because they've already got the trail, and then they throw the season, that catches both, and then they're having to almost split which direction they're looking in, and because of that, they get caught.
I'm really enjoying it, and it's, as said, one of the first maps I really got to see the implementation of it in great detail. Obviously, if you hadn't seen it, guys at home, if you're watching this and you're wondering why we keep referencing this FPX game, it's because the first time you went, oh my god, you can really see what you can do with this. Now, Fade is absolutely looking on the money, but again, seeing this being implemented by, you know, not I wouldn't say to the same degree, right? But again, seeing just how impactful it can be here is absolutely fabulous. And if you are wanting more of an analytical breakdown every round, make sure you check out Sliggy streaming right now. The man's like just constantly on his little telestrator. It's great. But a 4-2, Tom. When do we start? Because obviously it's a weird comp from G2. They're trying things, but I don't want to take anything away from Oglu, who are actually playing a very good game.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. I also say that the B site has been a little bit too predictable for my liking. Like the fact that they're able to basically just, all they've had to do is put pressure on the back of the site. Like that's both rounds. We've seen the Paranoia come through, clear the close corner, and then the remainder have been forced into the back of B. And because of that, they can just spam utility in that direction. It's something that has been done before, but I feel like it's something that needed to be adapted to. Have someone on the cross, have even some just cheekier angles, or not give up B main. But either way, Oglu have been able to counter that play almost directly, and now look to head into the A site.
Right. The timing couldn't be better. Feku already going to crack this open. Avova punished. Oh yeah, there's still utility there, but nothing to really hinder them yet. Mixwell just playing with utility. The flash is good. Pedestrians are still fine. Turns the flash, no problem. Meadow investing the ult to this. But for my mind, that's still a plant at the very least. They're just fine on this. This is very limited pressure. Sure, they have to evacuate the site, but again, what do they have to fight back in with? We've got 2 sheriffs, 1 rifle. G2 need to suddenly take control of this round because I've got to say, Oglu is still looking super dangerous here.
Again. High impact Paranoia just forcing them back, and okay, they've doubled up, lined up from the operator. Oglu now 5-2 in the lead on the attack, and although I do expect with the compositions that are being run, like the pop flash is available to either side, I do expect it to lean in the attacking favor. This is getting scary for G2.
It is. You got to stop the rot now, I think. If you're a G2 fan, you're kind of hoping that's what's going to come through for them here. Get a little bit of a grip on even just that B take we've seen coming out, or, you know, some aspect of dealing with what Oglu are bringing here. So I'm hoping we get to see some level of adaptation, or maybe just that noting of what's been going on. Hoodie looking like he wants to challenge off the rip, which he actually did well at before. He actually found the pick that was necessary, but again, on the other side, Oglu don't seem too unaware of the possibility of this. the trade out of information towards middle.
And it seems like a very passive stance, and being forced back out of mid as well just basically gives all of this control to Oglu for free. Like, sure, we're seeing setups of one ways in towards A short, but it's not a position that has been particularly pressured just yet. And because of that, we're now starting to see that pressure taken from G2, getting a little bit more aggressive off the back of Hoodie. The problem is they're now going in the other direction.
Let's see how this looks. Smoke in towards tree. Gonna keep Avova at least a little out of sorts. But again, Oglu taking their time here. They've been doing those later round hits, but we're still around the 40-second marker, so they've got time and they've got ultimates. So they're gonna make the most of it, pick up the pace a little bit, take this line. You can see Destrian putting in work here. Has to be careful of that KJ utility that's been in place a couple of rounds. Gets to keep his life. And the rest of Oglu gonna make side control happen. Already gonna have players ready for that push. And a little bit of a jump spot coming out from Mixwell, but Molsey more than aware, gonna spam out a little bit of utility, chip damage galore. Door to be shut as soon as he can. That's gonna go down, reinforced a little bit, and buy some more time.
Oh, timing's everything here. Destrian was going for the wraparound. He's managed to at least drop Mixwell. The trades already come back thick and fast.
Hoodie is desperately trying in this round. You can see him putting every bit of work here, but the defuse going to come in. Avova going to get towards halfway at the very least. And Hype, what can you do about this one? Can you deny it? Oglu shutting this down. Avova, last one alive, and Oglu keep the rounds building. Dom, they're making me a bit of a believer of this side.
Yeah, no, I'm worried for them as for G2 as well, because this has been scrappy, and Oglu have been winning a lot of those fights. Like the 1v1 for Mixwell and Destrian was everything. They then had to worry about their flanks, but even just this push back in, like Meadow just didn't know where to look. Hoodie eventually trades, and then, well, it just comes back down to that 3v3 scenario, which, considering on the entry, like how much damage was taken, and even wary of these flank spots coming in, Oglu are actually just winning more of the duels at the moment. Destrian as well, like 11 and 3, 8 assists as well. He is performing to a high standard.
Oh, for sure. It's been beautiful to watch. Wow. First time I've really got to actually cast this Oglu side as well this season, at the very least, and it's been quite impressive so far. This on paper looked relatively like a one-sided affair, but so far, putting up a good performance.
Maybe you're the good luck charm. Let's put it down to that. Maybe
we balance it out. We just get a good game. I'll take that. Is that, hey, I'm genuinely very happy to see G2 challenge, because we know their depth, right? We know that these guys are, you know, international tournament level teams. You know, they can go to the bigger teams and bigger tournaments and do very well for themselves. So I want to see how they compare, right? This is a really good way to kind of get a bit of a grip on it. But interesting rotation off the back of this. Becky going to be trying to build forward. Trade comes in. Destrian, good for it on the trade, takes no point of damage, and Becky trying to punish that rotation. Didn't quite get the timing right on Nuki. I thought there could have been a moment for that to happen, but again, this is Sheriffs, and that's about it.
Oh, this flash has to be everything. Nuki with the fadeaway gets one, and now Mixwell as well. It seems like the pistols are just so much better for the side of G2, and while the time ticking down, 3 players at the back of site, they can't even rotate towards A at this point. They have to push into them, and with Meadow still holding that backline, it's going to be rough for them to get anything here.
And giving it a damn good go, though. 7 seconds. Destrian still firing on all cylinders. 5 seconds. He has to try and make something of this. 2 more players to find, and he just simply can't find them. No time to play with either, and you're right, G2 and Pistols. It's a deadly duo. They seem to make it work more than most, but they're clutching at it right now. They needed that round. It wasn't just a one. It's not just a freebie. It's not just a bonus. That was a bit of a desperation round to break the streak. 3 rounds on the trot coming in from Oglu, and in some quite dominant fashion, but again, you can see the danger. This was down to the wire.
Yeah, it's not something that's sustainable, of course, for G2. I think the other thing that's really interesting, of course, is that you actually look at this group and sort of why we're calling it that group of death. You have the champion of champions, which is still a weird sentence to say, and then the top 3 from the first season of this year. So it's like one of them has to fall. Someone has to go. Look at the pace change, though, from Oglu.
Yeah, but look at the utility in the right place for it. Nuki gonna find Boo. Meadows gonna be pinned down on the back of the side. So much utility invested towards him. Can he at least keep his life? It doesn't look like he... Oh, he can! Takes Destrian with him. That's the best you're gonna get right now, as Mixwell eating his own flash, trying to clear as he goes, but that spike still yet to be planted. Now about to go down, and Hype has to hold that cat cross.
Already getting smoked off, but It's something that G2 are going to have to clear. Actually going to pop the Hunter's Fury proactively. Try and catch someone on the cross. It would ping someone for hype. Give him that extra information instead, though. UK's there for the swing.
So valuable. We're now down to 2. Vecchio and Molzy, what more can you do with this one? Vecchio still good for 1. Takes one with him to the grave as Molzy now called upon in a 1v2. Far more feasible than before, but now being surrounded. G2 finding a little life in them yet.
It's so scrappy. Like, it's not how I was expecting this game to go, but I love the pace change from Oglu. It just doesn't quite work. This time it takes a lot longer to isolate the player at the back of site. There was actually a moment in that round where I'm pretty sure everybody on the B site couldn't hear anything, was completely deafened, because I think it was Meadow got caught by the Seas and then they got all hit by Nightfall. So it's just like no one can hear everything. Anyone's running around just trying to get kills, and well, it's a 1-for-1 trade, which is absolutely fine. I think the biggest kill of the round, though, is still going to be Nukia just taking that space back. Like, if they allow that lurk, they allow that flank, it's much more of a problem.
Yeah, 100%. 4-6. We go again. Hoodie, different side of the map, though. Joined by a Vova. Bit of a smoke to work with, but the timing. He's actually going to... He's walking. This is just so dangerous. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, get out of there. Get out of danger. You could feel the absolute downfall of him just around that corner, but he gets to keep his life and back away for now.
Yeah, I'll admit, my cheeks were clenched. I wasn't sure he was getting out of that one safe, but he's been able to rotate around. Now, mid has been one of the issues, I feel, for G2, just this control given up for free. So having that operator there from Hoodie would definitely make a difference. The problem is, if they're actually going to spot each other, they're definitely wary of the potential of him being here, but it seems like it's all going to be down to timing.
I mean, can be everything. Count to 3, pull the trigger. Molzy did it first! Bye, Hoodie! Mid's now open, and that B site again looking a little vulnerable. Nuki and Meadow, any adjustments, any changes that you can maybe pull through here, because this is going to be dangerous. The amount of times you see this become an issue. Again, Nuki, nowhere to run and hide. So noted. So many problems. Vecchio closing in. Meadow now tucks his head in the corner, just tries to play his life. It doesn't matter. Oglu just have everything. They have the book open on the table. They can see you in every occasion. Now this is a fight back, though. Mix one and Avova still going to find a couple of entries, at least to try maybe force Oglu to sweat a bit here. Just post-bomb was looking so good.
Well, they know they're all in the site, at least. Information to be had. Still a paranoia available, which will be thrown in. The other two just watching the other side. Trying to isolate this is not going to be easy, but Avova's done a decent job. Left it onto Mixwell. First goes his way, but still standing. Much healthier is Feku on the other side. And the time is ticking, but Mixwell lands the headshot through the wall. And he's got this one comfortably.
Comfortably is a strong word, Tom. I'll
the time on the defuse.
The time
on the defuse.
Yeah,
Not
you're
the
right.
round.
Not the round, because that was squeaky bum time. That was getting a little bit dangerous, but it's fine. It's fine. Because I mean, let's kind of hit the brakes and kind of roll this back mentally, because I've got to say, OG for me on that attacking side initially, really garnered my attention and in some fashion. But the scoreline doesn't necessarily depict that anymore. They've closed the gap enough here, G2, that we get to see what they're like now on their attack too, or at least very soon. 5 rounds is plenty of buffer in my mind, and this recovery has been essential. Because they've, near on breaking the money down a fair amount, and you can see that, yes, obviously Feku does have the ult, but also a Spectre by his side. So, I mean, for me, I'm just curious to see, does this just bode well on the attacking side, having that fade? Is that something we have to come to expect, or is Oglu the real deal? And with G2 now putting the pressure right back towards them, this does change the dynamic slightly. And look how deep they're sitting on A.
God, it looks like they're almost giving this one up for free. They do have the lockdown available, and okay, there's going to be some utility on the other side that could destroy it. I'm sure this is something that Oglu has thought about going into the round, but yet they're still going to go in for this execution.
Held together on a knife's edge here. Mixed well. Actually, it's punishing Hoodie. He's getting close by to the smoke. If he walks that, Boo would have been so ready for it, but still, the spike is down, and they're going to fall back towards tree, it looks like. This just looks like a straight-up brawl. Hoodie unaffected so far, still trying to fight this out, going to lean on into it. It's punched by Hype. Gonna invest the ult and now get the grand reveal. They are nowhere near to be worried about at the moment. We're still pretty much laughing here. KJ ult comes in, and again, Avova at least finds Feku, but now Hype called upon, finds it, catches it, and gets detained for it.
He's kind of stuck in the mud, but I guess it was a worthwhile trade. Buying that extra little bit of time. Meadow needs to get a couple of kills here, but he's sticking it all the way. It's gonna get stopped by Boo coming in from the other angle, and well, Oglu have themselves another round. I really like the way they actually played this one, because they obviously everybody knows the normal spot for the lockdown. It's the same place every time around tree. And so they fought for it. They made sure that if you're going to place it, you're going to have to place it so far back that we can have more ground than we should be able to. And that ground was taken over short. And that's why it's nowhere near as easy for G2 to get back in on the retake. It's why Boo has much more safe positioning to actually hold. And it's why basically all of G2's plan was disrupted. The fact is that lockdown was something that G2 had as a plan, but Oglu saw before they did it, which is always good if you're reading your opponent's economy.
I'm just stunned that it's a 5-7 because it felt almost more dominant for OG on this. Like, genuinely for
They should have got more.
It felt like it. Let's see what the intent is behind this. Really gonna get slingshot out of there. Hype puts him out. And now you're gonna have 4 to work with it. Held back by a smoke. Maxwell's dead. He's not looking good here, Tom.
No, they've also just lost any flashes that they would have had to try and get out of this position. And Meadow can't leave. They're waiting for a smoke. I imagine they're just going to try and put it down, but they know he's here. They know he can't escape. He's just been spammed down to 50 and having to now just give this a bit of a wipe just to make sure that he's not going to get killed off. This is rough.
Oh, poor old Meadow, just being bullied. Nasty. Okay, well, where do they find their way in here? It looks like there was a look towards mid from Nuki, but they're not particularly backing away, but they've got 5 to get through. They've still got that camera in mid, so Hype's like, don't worry, we can sit in this, we're fine. Nothing to worry about just yet. Multi towards Cat. You can see the smoke does come in, and Meadow's happy to put his life on the line first, and wasted a second or two, and it's shut down. Oglu off to the perfect start in the second half.
Yeah, really clean. Had a nice setup in case they went in for a fast B take. Had the smoke ready down, and from then onwards, it just seemed like a simplistic round for them to take home. Pistol on the board, 8-5 up going into the defensive half. And yeah, I expect that, again, with the utility that's been invested, especially when you switch up a comp, a lot of the time you're going to work on your sort of executions within this comp. And if they have stolen from FPX, Lauren, that was the thing that was exciting. Like, some of the executions that FPX have were gorgeous. Now, if G2 can recreate that, they have a chance here, but they've already put themselves in the gutter.
Yeah, it's all good and well to see someone do something great, but understanding the complete extent of it, we have to see if that's something G2 has, right, to expand on that. And, well, Feku not looking too shabby with it. Gonna punish Hoodie. And, well, where else can we go now? G2 just clutching at straws this round. You're hoping for the best and really expecting the worst. So, as it stands, Oglu looking to keep it clean. If they can build up some of their ultimates as well. Oh,
It's a gorgeous setup.
Right. Sweaty, isn't it?
I love it. They've got the cam up above to see when they walk through that doesn't actually give the sound cue away. Then he pops the cage, walks into it, and then they have the dart so that he gets a free kill. That's a lovely setup from Oglu.
I really like these little pocket pieces they're bringing out. And if they have more of that, if Oglu have a couple of other looks like that, I'm super happy with this.
Yeah.
And again, this is their map choice, so I kind of expect them to be as prepared as you could imagine. You're coming up against an on paper more established side who's got good results. You do have to be well versed, and you can't take anything too lightly.
Spike down.
But for now, they're playing it to their full capability, it looks like, and not giving too much away. Nuki still filthy with it, still just absolute filth. But it should be a formality at this point.
But yeah, they almost don't need to go for anything over aggressive here, and well, I feel like Hype actually put that down so that he'd be ducking under it, which if he did, that's evil. He was ready for him to be there. So 9-5. Obviously, this is a round that G2 must win. It's their first proper purchase facing off against what is mostly Spectres, a Marshal, and a Pistol. So ultimately, it should be a formality, but nothing has been in this game so far.
I'm honestly sitting back with bated breath at this point, right? It's just like, okay, what do we see now? What do we get treated to this time? And it looks like that a bit of a play over towards A main. Trying to build up a little bit of map presence. Forcing Feku away towards middle. Just going through the protocol list for now.
Yeah, they've also got some pretty deep control, though. Like, okay, sure, it's patiently being watched on the other side by Avova, but Boo has pushed all the way up. This is where that Spectre is going to have its real value. And it's not like they've just left another spot on the map open. They're consistently watching and waiting to see what they can find. Avova, though, could be a problem.
Normally is. We'll see. It's all about timing on that fight as well. It's going to be a weird one. And you know he knows now. 4 players stacked on the other side. Becky, would you dare? No, slide against it. Probably the right choice. They're going to back away. Boo now feeling the strain as well. What's about a couple of players, though? Still going to take Nuki with him. Destrian.
The damage.
Yeah, they are the walking wounded. Meadows down low, Hoodie's down low. This is certainly doable. A little bit more chip damage as well, but not a great deal. Could have done with that. Not going to happen. G2 going to keep their lives here with 2 left. Hype and Molzy. And you're right that they are damaged. So this could still be a dangerous round, but they've got to do damage, and Meadows really kept that in check. Not allowing too much to go astray, and Molzy trying to bait the attention. No one's really chomping at the bit to lose their life here on this HP.
And they know where he is. That's the thing. At this point, I think it would be lucky for G2 to get away with 4 players alive, but they should. Like, Molzy may be able to steal away 1 here, but I only really want to see Avova taking any level of contact, and well, even got a cheeky little jump spot and a shot through the floor. G2 keep it clean in terms of how many alive, but yeah, still none of these rounds have looked particularly convincing.
No. Now we see the buyback in for Oglu as well, so this is where I'm mostly paying attention as well, because G2 need to bring out the A game, right? This is when we need to see the method to picking this agent, seeing the composition work out for them as well. We know that it can. Obviously, Oglu have given us a front row seat to that, but we need to see it in action for G2. How well versed do they look? Already operator coming out to play for Feku. Leaning in from short. See if you can spot anything, but again, do just have Nuki over towards that B site. Trying to maybe give the look of that intended piece, but it is going to be this A hit coming out, and that's going to give away enough of the game that there is presence here at the very least.
They left a lurk on that side before, so it might put into doubt, but with the amount that's already spotted in terms of utility, I can probably keep this one a little safe. Already, though, no command thrown in. It's going to leave with no utility and likely a free site.
Now this is looking more and more like a retake by the second. You can't really just challenge midway through, but I am eyeing up Feku. If he's going to go for something a little bit risky here, try and maybe catch someone sleeping, dips, just his toe in the water. Don't know if he caught a glimpse, no, but he has to now turn his attention back to the rest of the map. Hype looking for a way back in through short at this point. A 5v5 post-bomb. This is going to be chaotic to say the very least. Poke's still in play, but it's Oglu with the first 2. Mixwell and Hoodie go completely untraded, and Meadows just going to try and keep his head down, spammed away at, maybe considered, but not cleared. Gonna get 1, gonna get the second. It's everything Meadow would have wanted, but he's still got so much work to do. Tried his best, but left it in a 1v2 for Nuki.
No charges.
And what can this man do about it? He's gonna probably get it to at least halfway. He does, and the reveal's gonna show him at least 1. That's gonna be the punish. Catches Boo. Ult goes in, but the defuse is happening.
Oh no!
I don't think he can stop it.
Oh, it seemed like he played everything to perfection. Feku left at the end, blind, half HP, basically just stuck in the mud, even revealed roughly where he was, but that smoke kept him alive. His teammates' parting wish before he actually left this one. Again, though, just the entries back in from Oglu were just superb, and the fact that even with a multi-frag coming out of Meadow just wasn't enough, and this ping up giving away that info. Like, it was a nice attempt to sort of shroud it with the smoke, but damn, that was close.
Ooh, but pace change coming in here, it looks like, or at least a very intended take towards that A site, because every single player just piling on in. They're not slowing down either. Okay. G2 going back to what looks like basics, but they've taken at least a fair amount of space, and overzealous from Feku, gets punished up towards heaven. You can see Hoodie now can just take his time, sit in a little bit more, make him work for this. Oh, that's unpleasant.
A little bit lower. Little bit lower. I don't think they're going to get anything from this. Hoping that they could do a bit more, but in fact, they baited out a lockdown. I think that's the moment you have to come in for the save. I'm fairly certain that at least aspects of what G2 attempted in this round in terms of the take were that same sort of execution we've been seeing from FPX. Like, remember the players just running back through the door with that fragment. That wasn't something that we witnessed in that previous game, and forcing them out of the site made things a little bit awkward. So there's definitely been aspects of G2 like learning from the mistakes of their prior matchup, and hey, after a very, very close round, they force Oglu to save.
Okay. It was a lot behind there, though. We've had a couple of rounds with a fair amount of quote-unquote all-in-ness, I guess. I still think across the board, though, I mean, it's a stinger going out for hype, which kind of sucks, but across the board, Oglu still looked pretty solid, and it looks like, hey, rinse and repeat, run it back again, let's hit this A piece. Now, we do have hype setting up the utility on the other side, but again, it's a stinger, so depending a fair amount on Boo to really put in some heavy lifting here for them. And G2 making no subtlety to this. It's going to be the set piece coming out, and just the pace off the back of Hoodie. Going to take everything he can, move in towards this, and there it is, dealt with. G2 just back to basics, and it works wonders. Spike can come across, Plant can come in. And those three left alive, what are you going to do with this? You have no information for so long now. You've lost a little bit of that timing on this. You've lost information on the rest of the map. They need to come back in and hit some shots quick.
Yeah, either that or they're forced into a save again. And I wouldn't really blame them for it. Hoping for a miracle spam, but... Oh, I was going to say nothing comes through. Avova does have to move. He almost got killed through the wall there, so it would have been something at least, but... can't really expect them to just throw the weapons into the wind just for absolutely nothing. And it is the same execution again, like the C's in combination.
Oh,
nice
that's
shot
a loss.
from Nuke. But also, yeah, having that fragment to cover off the door, Prowler to clear some of the closer spots, and it's so difficult to deal with. I don't think we have seen a team necessarily counter that just yet.
Not yet. And let's see if anyone can learn on the fly, I think, is the next big thing.
Oh.
Bloody hell.
Oh, why? Don't do that.
Hell. 8 to 10. Are they doing it again? I'm just waiting to see if they go same approach. And probably a tactical timeout for Oglu, I assume, at this point, Tom?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like, the back-to-back rounds, same execution, just to try and clear out the players holding the cross from tree, making sure that no spam can come through the smoke. A lot of players in general will just run through that smoke anyway, just to try and do some damage. So it's a very good execute. The thing I want to see is whether or not you're going to get Oglu now try and play retake completely, just almost allow that to happen. Play further back within the site, which again has its risks because you're almost giving the entry fragger just an opportunity to fight you. Or get aggressive. And that's probably my favorite of the lot, but it's definitely easier said than done. Then again, when you have a Blade Storm available, you also have a couple of weapons to play with and a bit of a weird sort of financial purchase. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that in this round.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see what they come up as their solution to this. Because again, in your head, you're like, surely they're not going to run that again and again and again. But you do need to at least halt it once, right? To force them into that adaptation. But again, the purchase in this round is going to be absolute dog water. So you're trying to stop it with very little. You can have Boo with what I think it's going to be a Frenzy. Destrian does have the rifle, and you can have Bladestorm behind it. That's going to be it. Boo puts his life on the line, gets nothing for it. Maybe sets up Destrian, but gets nothing for it either. They've done chip damage, sure, but it's not enough. Hoodie's still going to power forward, and Veku's going to have to back away, and now you're left in a retake with, I mean, not ideal weapons, to say the least.
How many rounds in a row will we see Molesy save? Turret doing a lot of damage, 1 kill off the back, and he's going to try and get some spam, and once more, just willing them into a B take. I think that's the thing. When you've seen someone just spam off this Odin in a retake scenario multiple rounds in a row, you probably just go, well, you haven't stopped me getting A. Why would I run into your trap on B?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be surprising. Now, the one thing in my mind is G2 really do just like one site on maps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they'll find one site they're really into
Icebox, A site.
Icebox, yeah.
I can't. Like, that's the thing. There is a reason they were incredible on that map. It's the reason it's banned in this series, because their A site executions are fantastic. And also, the A site is really hard to defend. So I don't disagree with them at all in terms of the way they just rinse and repeat things. And the problem for Oglu is, I feel like the second you do try to adapt to it, they're going to change something. And then you have to try and adapt to that new scenario, or they'll just keep doing it. You win it once and they do it again, and you're likely not going to stack things up.
Surely they won't do it. Yeah, it's the classic. It's quite a weird scenario, and we already saw before this replay, it looks like it is time to go back into it. But
guys, I'm going B with my Odin.
But there is a buy against this, and Feku's got an operator,
it's the same execution.
So it looks like, okay, we're going to take control towards tree, we're going to try and play a little bit towards middle, clear mid, there's nothing there, we know that now. But obviously they didn't know that from the very start, but Hoodie can be slowed on his roll and actually gets punished. Pipe's going to find him, and Hoodie, the first man to fall. This is huge. And look at the damage on the way in of Over. Barely breathing, Meadow down low as well, just going to try and get the spike planted. And the wrap's much quicker this time. You're going to have that flank coming into play. This is a good adaptation from Oglu.
Yeah, I really like it. A little bit of counter utility thrown down to almost get them stuck in the mud, and they take so much damage on the cross because of it. Even still, though, a lot left to do. These players may be low, but they're not out of the fight just yet. Forcing off the angle, but it's slowly now diminishing. Only going to be Meadow to get a kill. And that was a much better round. That's it. Like, they threw down a counter seize as they ran in, and that was the reason they got absolutely owned on the cross.
I actually love that. Simplistic, but it works so well. Good time to hit that adaptation. 3 of them playing towards tree to facilitate that. You know, keep in mind, if there was an alert quicker on cap from G2 or something like that, that could have been 3 of these players cooked, but not the case at all. Super nicely done. But now this is the question you posed, right, that we were discussing before, Tom, is that surely they'll run it again. We've counted them once. Do we now stack 3 players towards tree once again, or do we, you know, assume they'll go back to more of a normal play? So the reins are still somewhat in G2's control, even though Oglu do have 11 rounds. But they broke the back of that one set piece. So now we have to look at what's left. What else do G2 have for us to look at?
I'm not going to lie, I really wanted them to do it again.
Yes.
Like, I really wanted them to just run the A side, because as I said, like, if you look at the setup now, it's not the same. Like, okay, you still have the trips available to catch them on the cross, but it's not quite as deadly. This is a little bit worrying. They're going to have to use this just to try and escape. Estrian, very aggressive, and he's caught well. That's the spike.
That's devastating, and look at them, they're going to turn the screws even further. They're stacking up towards middle. 3 players here. There's no shot we're getting a brawl in middle. This is ridiculous stuff.
Cover going out.
Spike left loose. They have to go on a recovery mission just to pick it up at this point. And while all this happens, keep in mind that Oglu have taken a bit of space. They can back away now. They can leave G2 to have to invest this utility. Take all this space back in, try and recover the spike, which they've done, but it's cost them time. 40 seconds now. Still plenty to play with, but it looks like this B piece is finally coming through.
There.
40 seconds left on the clock. He's been waiting such a long time to use his Odin. Doesn't even have it anymore. Multi back with the rifle. We'll be waiting. Now again, you're going to see this info gone at the paranoia is good, but he hasn't been able to be cleared just yet. Hoodie lands that shot, but Mosey goes ham anyway. Leaves it into a 2v2, a winnable scenario, and they need to get the spike.
Oh, again. This thing's slippery and not Destrian. Just as the smoke dissipates, you've got him on the punish towards Nuki, and Hoodie just wants in. He wants to punish, and they are just not landing by any means and waiting patiently as hype. And there it is, the reveal in the end, and it's going to be 12 for Oglu. Huge round now, stringing together a couple just to apply a response. G2 ran over them for 3 rounds in a nasty fashion. This is a really good way to get yourself back in, but Molsey finding 2 there was massive.
Yeah, I honestly think, though, that this is some of the best, like, solo utility usage we've seen from Fade so far from Destrian. He has been superb. Like, they had the same execution every single time. He denied it with 1 piece of utility. They try and get the spike back in this round. He actually, again, just puts down a solo piece of utility in the form of the C's to stop Nuclear being able to get away and basically revealing his position at the same time. Like, he's just been so brilliant with his reactive utility that, wow, if I'm giving it over to one Fade, he is definitely Fade diff Nuclear. I don't think it's arguable.
No, which is quite surprising, honestly. To me, Nuki is obviously a very powerful firepower player, but he's also very good at, with utility, being a support player. He can do everything. It's the one thing that's ridiculous about that man. But you're right, Destrian has looked more comfortable, more well-versed. It's an enjoyable watch, to say the least, because it doesn't happen often. It's already G2 eyeing up their options. Hunter's Fury going to get popped, and do they have a close? They do. They've got the swing coming in on short. This is so sick. The Hunter's Fury and the pressure from short. Destrian caught in no man's land, though. And it's just going to be a brawl, Tom. They're just fighting out in middle. Hoodie's going to find Molesy with a punish of the back. Babu still towards middle. Flash comes in. Mixwell, it pops down the knife. He's going to know a player, but by now, Beck, you just found Meadow. It's G2 trying to find this fight and losing this fight. And look at the Rat Hoodie needs to hit some mad shots. I don't know, Tom. And Hype's just got the classic out. It's not over. It's a 1v3. Spike down in middle. He's fighting players everywhere. What on earth is happening?
Oh, there's certain rounds that you love to witness and some that you never want to see ever again. Somehow, he's managed to steal that spike. They were ready for it. They even shot him the second he collected it, but this gives them over the chance to do what this man does best.
The clutch player, Tom, you know that capability. 23 HP, though. Oh, Boo on the timing, comes around the corner and catches them in the heels. Does not let that man get the hot hand, because you know what can happen. But this scoreline is not what I expected to happen, Tom. We've got 13-9, and Oglu just beat G2.
Yeah, especially after the matches we've seen from Oglu so far this season. Like, you might have come into this matchup, maybe you saw them last season. You're like, they went 2-3. They actually had a chance to maybe make it to the playoffs. Why is everybody being so down on them? Last week, they got 4 rounds in 2 maps. They got absolutely slammed. They lost one of them 13-0, and they've come in today on a map they haven't played yet this season, and they've just taken the head of G2. This is a series on our hands now, and G2, they are in a very shaky spot.
Let's go to a break. Let's get map 2 on the way.
Dare to challenge yourself. Who's next?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Talk big, but I pedal none. Old school, but in my
Dare to challenge yourself. Who's next?
The surprises keep coming today. And no, you are not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen and MPs. It's 1-0 up for Oglu. OG London United take map 1 against G2. We're back on the desk to break it down. I'm Milosh, with me is Kakuka and Lothar. Friends, let's have a chat about this because this was unexpected.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The fashion in which Oglu was getting the first round made me a little bit insecure, and I was having some PTSD, but the setups were definitely there. Like the way that Destrian was playing, especially on the attack, it definitely looked like the plan was working. Maybe the post plan still had some flaws that G2 could read into, but to me, if you take a look at the screen, the highlight is Hype actually being part of Oglu. We were talking about the new faces that we're seeing on teams, and Hype was one of them. The problem is that he was not still performing, but what he did on this map, alongside the rest of his teammates, actually made us, understand why they decided to go for that pickup.
In general, Oglu impressed me a lot. Like, they had really nice, cool setups. Maybe sometimes they were lacking some discipline when it comes to post-plant situations, a little bit overheating when it comes to the peaks. But in general, every single round was planned out. And it was very nice to see that they are actually well prepared. And you have these all the small setups with the Cypher and Sova that we're gonna break down later. But Destron, I would say, for the first time, we see how much of a stopping power Fade can deliver with just the C's. The C's just single-handedly, I think Tom said that the same, single-handedly stopped G2 from rushing on sides. You throw the C's, the Jet cannot dash away from it. She's being decayed, she doesn't hear anything, and then there's so much recon power in that lineup. The Soba Dart, the Cypher camera, then we have the Hound as well, right? It just allows you to just completely dismantle your opponent.
Yeah, probably what we were expecting to see maybe on Icebox, but I love the fact that they decided, listen, Icebox is not working as we expected, we're just going to ban it. And on the other side, let's talk a little bit about G2, because we saw some swaps. I think that the last time that we saw Hoodie on Jed, Pipson, his coach, was playing on the team with him, because after that, Giants go Fitinho back, so that makes a lot of sense, you know, to let him play on that agent. But it's not only that. Mixwell, I think, got cut off on short on like 3 or 4 occasions, having that maybe two flags. Yeah, well, that was it.
Well, dig into detail. You talked about Cypher. How about you go ahead and tell us Tration, Lothar? All yours.
Yeah, so, you know, there's a big talking point with Destron being so efficient with Fade, but I feel like the backbone of Oglu's success was the setups that we have seen on B with the Cypher and the Sova combo. So typically, Sova is like, you know, use the recon arrow to gather information for you that would be like, oh, they're going B, now we know they destroyed the recon arrow. But how Oglu actually approached it is they used the recon arrow as a tool to get kills instead of getting information in the first place, because we have a Cypher alongside him, and that's the combo that we see here on the B side. Here, it's very interesting to see that Oglu is playing completely like in the mid. Look at the minimap position. They are prepared mentally that G2 might push through in the first tempo for the B main, and they just don't want to be exposed to the paranoia. They don't want to expose to the Hound that is being put on the left side of the site, which has the range just ending here, right? So now they're standing in the market behind the smoke. Why they're making that decision? Because they have so much recon power. They know that they can rely on the traps. I'm gonna delete now all the tools and just pay attention to how they reactively play. The Jet just comes into the trap and just gets deleted because of the trap here that is just anticipated to be broken by the Jet when she dashes in. But not only that, after the Jet is being demolished, we have a B position in the main that is also being exposed because of the recon arrow, and there's still the camera that's getting the information. And the same thing that happened later on the B main with another setup, which the camera gives the info that there are players now, we know about it, and the recon arrow is the kill tool. That is what enables the Cypher to get the kills. So it's like a swap of the roles. Sova's still delivering the information, but it's later than earlier when you don't have the support of that Cypher.
So the thing is, we were talking about Oglu and how they got the plan, and maybe they were lacking discipline when it came to post-plan. The problem for G2 is that they weren't even able to get onto the side. Of course, they had some runs onto A. We know the G2, our wonderful casters also mentioned it. But the problem is, when all those setups, wherever Hype was, that side was impossible to penetrate.
Our highlight player, Destrian, for this first map. What is there to say about this man that's performed incredibly on map 1?
I mean, if it wasn't the utility from Hype, it was definitely from Destrian helping not only prevent the plan, but actually giving that extra information that Oglu definitely needed to close this matchup. So very happy to see how Destrian has performed here compared to what he did previously on Icebox.
And it's also very important to showcase that on Fade, he's very flexible. On attack, he was like the secondary reveal character, like on A side when they were doing executes. Sova Arrow was being put on the backside, while his Haunt was being put on short. At the same time, it was so hard to stop. And then on the defense, his main tool is the C's, as we mentioned before, right? So he's like a very flexible agent that can be just carved in a way that the player want her to be, and that just allowed Destrian to be so efficient at assisting the teammates.
Well. Now for another surprise. You're already looking at the scoreline thinking, wow, Oglu really took map 1. Yes, they did. And now we're going to see a first for stage 2 here in EMEA. Breeze is our second map. Yes, bring out your party hats. We got it ready.
Thank you. I requested this because, I mean, I wanted a bigger celebration for the first Breeze. But do you guys remember that week that Mech had last stage where they had to play 3 maps in a like 3 matches in 3 days in a row, and they completely destroyed O2 everyone? One of the highlights was definitely Breeze on their side. One of the teams that were on the receiving end was Oglu. So the last time that we actually saw them playing on this map, it wasn't looking the best. I think it was like a 13.
That was one of the matches where Chronicle just went absolutely nuclear.
I think all of them, like those 3 days were just insane for him. So, you know, for the side of Oglu, maybe not the strongest. We still have to see what any team has prepared on this map. But we know that the last time that G2 was playing on this map, it was against Loud. It was actually the map that they picked their Masters, and actually the closest one that they got. But you were mentioning, we have the nerfs. Chamber and Jet are suffering from that, and those were the 2 pivotal parts of their composition.
Yeah, and there's now, I would say, a lot of creativity like enabled with this new patch when it comes to Breeze. There's a possibility of playing, as we have seen on Ascent, Sova Fate together for that very hard execute to stop on the sides. But also, we have seen Oglu play with double controller on this map with the Astra. I wouldn't play maybe Astra myself on this map, but Omen or Brimstone right here with combination of the Viper is actually a very neat tool to control the space on mid and in the holes. So there's a lot of room to be creative in the compositions. And remember, Chamber has very limited map control now on Breeze.
Yeah, exactly. We expect to see the changes coming in from G2. Maybe, you know, now that Hoodie's been moved to the Jet, is that going to be permanent? Are we even going to see the Chamber on that side? You said Brimstone. I thought of Paper X. Please no triple duelist here. That's all I'm going to ask for a region.
I mean, if EMEA needs a way to kind of wake back up for it, maybe this is the one, talking composition. But Breeze, at this point, are there too many options to bring in? Can this confuse our 2 teams going into it?
Right now, like, you have no prep going into this map, right? So, which is
that a good thing or a bad thing?
Exactly what I wanted to say. That might be a good thing for both teams because they can focus on what they prepared themselves. And of course, a good IGL can read the composition of their enemies and say, well, we have to watch out for this potential synergy because they have those 2 characters combined, right? And there's a lot of possibilities. Now we'll see what is going to happen because we're going straight into the IGL.
Yeah, and are we going to see Sky? Are we going to see that KO? Me personally, I think that KO, that Hoodie is an amazing KO. I think that we all agree on that one, so I would like to see it. Boba is going to go on the Viper. He used to be on the KO. Nuki
on Chamber. Who's Mixel playing then, KO?
No, Sky.
Okay, I'm really confused because...
And Mulsi moves from Sky to KO.
Yeah, it's really confusing for me because the natural evolution of this map metagame is actually to change Sky into KO because KO delivers so much more impact when it comes to shutting down the Sentinels now. As you can see, Oglu is actually playing 2 Sentinels. There's Chamber and there's Cypher. The defense is gonna be stacked on the traps. There's a nerf on Chamber. Well, what do? We add a Cypher in. And now we have 3 traps on the map.
Oh, and just wait until next patch that I think we have next week where everybody's going to get the information on all of your utility. That is going to be brilliant. But I agree with you. I think that KO is going to have a major impact. Still, I think that teams are kind of used to playing against the Cypher, so you were mentioning the impact that the IGL has to have on this one. I think that Nuki is not going to have a hard time reflecting on how Hype is doing, but based on what we just saw from Hype on Ascent, I'd be scared.
Yeah, it's actually a huge difference in the approach because G2 on attack still have the Jet that is able to create space on the B side, not as needed on A side, while the other team, Oglu, don't have a duelist, but they have that defense that will be so hard to stop.
Well, G2 are still fighting for that top 3 spot. Do they stay in the running or will they be upset here by Oglu? Let's take a look.
Yeah, I don't feel like this could be a 2-0, Tom. You know what? I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I just don't quite see it here coming into Breeze. Where are you sitting on this? Do you think there is a chance of the 2-0, or do you think this is now a full 3 series?
I'll be honest, all my expectations are in the bin after map 1, so I was kind of saying, going, it will be a 2-0, but to G2. So the fact that we've ended up on a second map with an advantage going in favor of Oglu has me a little bit worried, especially because like there were a lot of maps that Oglu got boomed on in the past and have had to sort of recreate and fix things, whereas like obviously this map hasn't necessarily been played too much, but for G2 it always looked pretty solid, like a very close showing versus Loud, beating FPX and Fnatic last season. Like they didn't really need to switch things. Now they definitely have. Nuke playing a much more aggressive role is something that excites me. I'm not certain about Mixwell's Sky though, because I still feel like his initiators is not his strongest suit.
No, I'm actually in agreement with you. It does always catch my eye to not see Mixwell traditionally on something that's going to have an operator on it. I still think, you know, he is one of the players that can do some serious work with it, but again, what do I know? On the other side, of course, anything standing out to you particularly? I think Feku being on Chambers, nothing surprising. Like, it will make somewhat sense to me.
Yeah. I like the idea of Malzy having an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive. I think on this squad he has a lot of individual skill to give, I guess. So putting him on the KO makes a lot more sense, because that's what you expect him to do, to disrupt, to be aggressive, to take space, almost work as the duelist that they don't have, although I still... Chambers a duelist. Let's stop with this now.
Surely no one's really even discussing that.
No duelist cop. No, it's not. No, it's not.
But in the description it said... No. But a name that I hadn't said too often, which I do want to be seeing a little bit more of, is Blue. And, well, Vova just battered Becky. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. It's too early in the day, mate. We shouldn't be seeing these sort of scenes. Destrian, last one alive. Gonna make him work for it, at least. And there it is, found in the end. Comfy on that, really. No sweat at all for G2. But again, I do want to kind of turn back around to that. Boo was a player that did catch my eye in a couple of their games. It's probably rolling the clock back a little bit here, but I do want to see a little bit more from him now. And again, Avova, this was just, all right, fair enough. He's been doing his aim labs.
Yeah, I feel like the really tough thing that's going to be there for Oglu in this map in general is it has a lot more of an opportunity for that sort of aggressive freedom. Like, I feel like you can have those same sort of defensive pushes on Ascent, but they're very much expected at this point. Like, you know those sort of aggressive points, you know the push and pull of the map. Breeze has a lot of open ground that you can challenge, and I think that the fact that you've now given Nuke what is basically the free entry duelist role is a terrifying prospect, because he is someone who will use and abuse it. Like, I'm thinking back to his Heretics Reina and stuff like that, where he was the most terrified person in the whole region. So giving him now a chamber, giving him that one-tap opportunity with a pistol that's basically very, very cheap and he'll have every round, I do worry that that's going to be too much for them to face off against.
Yeah, Mixwell. Not bad, gonna find Hyde, but Will did go the other way. Flash eats it, and Malzy gonna get a little bit of a trade out, but you're right, Nookie still just fine. And we look at anything across the board and do well. It's not looking good, is it? No, it's not.
You wanted to see more from him, but I feel like that might have been a slightly unfair point to have him as a focus on 1 versus 4. But yeah, this is where realistically the game gets going. And okay, you've basically got yourself a couple of rifles to it in a sense, because you've obviously got the Bulldog that was bought, but also you're going to have that trusty Headhunter to try and get some damage done with. And as said, like, I feel like there's not going to be too many rounds where UK isn't at least getting a little bit cheeky. As I said, the only thing that really worries me is potentially like Meadow switching away from what is an incredibly strong role from him in terms of the Sentinel, and Mixwell. I want to see how he's going to actually play off the back of this.
I think it's a good way to look at it is like a temperature check to individually how some of these players looks, because again, in my mind, I do see G2 being more comfortable here than OG London United, for that one person in chat who's getting annoyed by Oglu. I got you, don't worry. I'm not going to do that again. It will be... I'll just start calling them Igloo at that point. But no, it's... it's just full, just giving up. But again, yeah, it would be a nice temperature check to a couple of these players on Age, and Meadow actually is I thought he was dealing out way more damage than he was, but in the end it's been actually kept in check, and Nookie the last one alive. And it's Judge. But he's not Yampy, so...
We can't... He's waiting. There we go. Headhunter back online. I imagine that will come back into play.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
couple of low players here. So they do have to be a little bit wary. Of course, this round is all about cost, reducing the ultimate potential of your opponent, but also getting rid of some of that weaponry. He's going to get a free fight, and okay, he takes down Hype, one of the healthier players remaining, and the other two have to almost back away. Destrian will eventually kill him through the smoke. It's going to be a first round onto the board for Oglu, but now is where things get a little tougher.
Yes. I guess they did what they needed to in regards to at least keeping 3 alive, building their way forward, you know, all the things that we generally say. So they did enough to at least keep themselves in a position going into this round that they can get a nice buy beside them. I am looking at Hoodie now getting himself an operator as well. See what sort of impact he can have with this.
It's really interesting that this squad has ended up with Hoodie on the duelist after the whole Kellogg's thing. Like, it melts my brain a little bit, but...
Are you trying to apply logic?
Yeah, that's my
That's your
mistake.
first
I'm
mistake.
sorry.
Yeah, work on that. Hoodie, though, being forced to fall away slightly here. Has to respect the utility invested. OG going to start building their way towards the site, and this looks quite simplistic, but it's going to potentially get the job done. I don't know what can deny unless Hoodie decides to get involved. Destrian quick to it, though. Punishes Hoodie, and that's the operator gone.
Yeah, one of the real danger weapons in this round just removed completely from the A site, and now trying to get back in here is not necessarily going to be easy. No ultimates to play with on either side, and actually this is an incredibly passive hold, just leaving one player, and obviously that player is Spec, who has an easy escape. Oh, I thought for a minute Ovova was going to win that duel, but it's not to be.
I was a little worried when it becoming a little bit of a laboured spray, but you're down to 3. Meadow, Nookie, and Mixwell. And the positions actually worked out quite nicely to find at least one of them, but Meadow and Mixwell are still doing some damage, but time is of the essence. And they're buying it pretty well here. Meadow still just having to wait this one out. He can't do much about it. Destrian's attention turns, handles Mixwell. Another tap on the spike. And simply put, they've got bodies to expend if they really have to, and this looks like a sealed deal for OG. And there we go. Meadow gonna overextend, tries to get the punish. Actually, it might do just that. It's costly, but it is a round.
Yeah, and the thing is, in terms of economy, it's going to put both in a weird spot, but Oglu obviously winning will get those extra credits available. I'll be interested to see what the plan is here, though, from G2. Like, do they invest back into things? They've almost got the tour de force available. If they could maybe get an ult, or that could be a difference maker to at least get this one a little bit more costly. I don't think they'll be buying around it, but with how close this round was, you could see why they might.
Eyes on target.
Yeah. As it stands, G2 coming in with the sheriffs. There's armor scattered around, and the odds aren't far away. A couple of things going their way, you never know. And it is G2 with pistols, so we know what that means, Tom. They're probably going to win the round.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong, but I don't disagree. Already spam through. Hoodie's been forced back at least a little bit further into the site. Pop flash being set up on either side. It's left a lot of players blind and spamming! Meadow's got a double shock dart. They combined it with the snake bite. Glorious stuff out of the side of G2, and they've managed to force them all the way back. Hunter's Fury even going to be popped here. Somehow, though, a fight back coming through. Hype again, stepping up when they need him the most.
And they desperately need him now. Like, you're going to find at least Nookie and try and recover this absolute tragedy of a round. And you can see the HP is still not pretty. There is still a chance for Mixwell or Meadow to do something. The M&M combo looking venomous here as Hype does at least catch Meadow. Quells the danger in this round, because my word, we said it and almost came true. Mixwell going to find Feku, but there is still one on the site, and they know where Hype is, but he can't quite corner in time. Hype saves this round for OG, because G2 are about to do G2 things.
That was such a beautiful combo. Like, to get 2 with that is just unheard of. It really doesn't happen very often, especially anymore, but just the perfect timing on this play. The flashbang leaving them both blind, putting them in an awkward spot, and then, yeah, that's as good as it gets. Completely ruined. The problem is just Hype. Like, managing to get 4 kills, like, sectioning them off through the tube. I mean, honestly, it should have been a G2 round, and okay, now they get to buy back in. They have the tour de force. They have some decent ults online as well, but it's similar on the other side. It's a level playing field.
Oh, this is fun. We actually get a real game on our hands. I'm liking this.
Right here.
I'm liking this. 2-3. Still want to see that fight coming out of OG, though. They've got to keep that tempo up, keep that pace up, because, again, on paper, to me, in my mind, G2 is still You just got more reps, a higher level. So you put your faith in what you know. But OG looking to maybe change our minds. But again, Nookie, that's a punish. So pound for pound, already going to get things started quite nicely for G2 here.
Doesn't seem like they've shied away though. Still looking to try and pressure in on towards this A site. Seekers are going to give that information up, and I imagine there's going to be a relatively fast rotation. They know that there's a flanker in mid in the form of Hype as well. That's something they have to be wary of. But at the moment, it still seems like a lot of this is going to be onto Hoodie, just sat within this corner.
And Hoodie, fantastic at his role. But you're right, but they turn.
Oh.
They have to clear him. He's still good for one. Finding Molsey, leaving them just with Boo and Destrian. This is when the worries start to begin. You're going to need one of these players to step up phenomenally, do a lot of damage this round somewhere. Meadow could be vulnerable, but no, still keeps his life. He melted down.
Player standing.
But again, leaving Boo on just 5 HP, it's looking so unlikely. Surrounded on all fronts. Gonna take one with him, but it's a quick cleanup for Over. And that will be G2 now closing on the scoreline at 3 apiece.
I genuinely hope that we just see Nuke invest into an AWP. Like, I don't really see the point of him doing much else. Like, just being that little bit more aggressive, being cheeky with his plays. As I said, this is something he has done on multiple agents for an incredibly long time. He is someone who has, I think, one of, if not the highest skill ceiling, maybe in EMEA. Like, the guy is nuts. It's like him and Scream that I always just think of. Like, these guys can take over a game and are consistently solid. Meadow as well is off to a flying start, which is great as well. Like, the fact that he's on that Sova, I don't think it's necessarily one of the more comfortable agents for him, but he is performing. And, well, the double shot dart earlier made things that little bit more exciting.
It definitely did, and you're right. I think Nookie's one of those that has one of those skill ceilings we probably haven't seen the peak of yet. That's the thing that scares you. You know what I mean? Like, you could argue you've seen Scream mechanically at his best, you know, glimpses of it. But Nookie, I mean, the guy is an all-rounder, so that always keeps you guessing just a little. But at 3 apiece, we have to now turn our attention to this round because OG have another go at things. Looking to explore middle a little bit after that last exploratory mission, but Hoodie's already considering this. Depending on that Viper's pit to keep him safe, gives him a little bit more freedom to take a look. Of course, plans will change after the back of that. Just to facilitate the cross, but again, you know what's on the other side. This could be a disaster in the making. Hoodie, he's been caught out, punished in the end. Hype's going to make the most of that. The reveal on him, and he's just dead to rights. And now, Over feeling like he's on an island. Yeah, he's a little safer, but the support's on the way. But Meadow doesn't expect him so close. Hype's already there, finds the pick, and now Over's in danger.
Don't know how he's managed to survive even this long, and his teammates are trying their best to do something on the other side. Nuke quick to react and at least garner that extra little bit of control. But you can see how comfortable Oglu are in playing back towards the cave. They're going to leave their one aggressor in the form of Feku's just so close up that there's nothing they can really do about it. And Nuke, well, he's lost his last teammate while trying to clear some of these angles. Won't win the duel either. And Oglu do well to get their 4th.
Pretty comprehensive too, taking down the one player who could have really denied that. Hoodie just opened the gateway, right? And then you saw the reveal coming in towards Over. Everything worked out.
I think he sacrificed himself. So, like, I'm pretty sure they droned through the Viper's pit, and so that control wasn't completely given up, Hoodie runs into it, and Over runs out. So he gets hit with the tag and then goes, okay, I'll just dash away, not realizing they've lost all mid control, and so just gets wrecked for it. So it was I like the idea from G2. Like, you'd never want your Viper to get caught by a drone, but you had to then realize what control you'd given up for that, and that's where it went very badly wrong.
Which is quite surprising because you'd think the logical reaction to losing obviously that A main access would be maybe a mid lean or, you know, looking elsewhere. So a little surprising that it kind of fell down the way it did. Now I do see Nuke on the AWP, so that is out to play. Operator to hand. I want to see how well he does with this, because again, to my mind, you've got Mixwell who's very capable in that regard as well, but probably not going to see much of it this map at the very least. And even though that same look towards middle is there, it is that lean back towards that more traditional take towards the site.
Seems like Oglu have really taken a leaf out of the book of G2. It has just been an A-site simulator, the same executions, just going through, taking that space, getting into the after plant, and basically just using their utility to make a lot of these fights very awkward. The problem is as well, Hoodie really hasn't had a whole lot of success of actually getting damage done, and well, he's stuck in the mud again, just getting wrecked by utility. Into the open he goes, and well, it's all too easy.
Yeah, there's no safety for him. There was nowhere to run, literally nowhere to hide, but the backline of G2 are doing really well. Boo with a big punish though. Catches Mixwell, keeps them in this round. 25 seconds, the spike can now make sure back towards the side. Maybe a plant can be facilitated because G2 are knocking at the door. Spray comes in, Boo just about keeps his life for now and gets away with 16 HP.
Way too close for comfort, but they've escaped into these after plants once again. Utility not in the best spot though. They're going to be already using up their dart, which is one of the main pieces they have. And actually, Destrian's just decided to swing. He's going aggressive on his own. Already taking down a couple. And Nuke's trying his best again, but with an op.
He's read it. Nuki's read this. Oh, he's such a nasty player, but the shoulder peep from Destrian just gives him the advantage now. Toy with time. And you've got to say it, Destrian was the MVP for me on map 1. He's just now made a good bid for it here in map 2. That was a huge recovery of that round, just dipping back in towards main, catching that glimpse. Ooh, OG, 5 rounds now. They're making a bit of lead for themselves. And this has depleted the cash. They're down to 3.6 now. 2.8 on Nuki. I mean, he'll be just fine. He can kind of skim through the economy just to an extent, but this was huge. It was actually a Vova he finds. For a second, I thought it was going to be Meadow because he saw more of him, but no. Man, that is good stuff from Destrian.
Yeah, I think they really need to have a change up because, like, the hoodie is just getting destroyed. And then playing this A site, when you have, like, you're just being bombarded with utility. He doesn't have anything to really slow them down. So I would much rather see, like, if you're going to have Nuke with an AWP, if he's hitting those shots, put him in that position. Put him in a spot where he can actually play. Because right now, what, he's got 9 kills. All of them are on the retake, I think. Maybe 1 wasn't. Which it just, that seems like such a waste of this agent with its ability to escape, which is the problem he's having.
Yeah. Double stack close towards main, though. They're going to have to wait out a little bit of this utility. They do want to continue to the same look. Now, of course, yes, we know they're on pistols. It's not as much of a threatening round. Looks like Mozzie aware of the chance that someone's dipped close, but actually G2's going to slip away. Respect the utility was going to come into practice. Try and fall towards side, but similar scenes from OG. Not changing too much about this. But Hoodie isn't alone this time. He does have support on the site itself in the form of a Vova who wants to just try and spray in a little bit, maybe catch someone on the way up. But he has found Feku, so there's a little bit of danger to this. And if they don't clear, that's when the danger can really mount. Meadow's still going to find Destrian as well. It is down to a 3v2, but keep in mind the weaponry. But Nuki doesn't care for it. The grand equalizer to these sort of rounds. And Boo,
30 seconds left.
He's popped the ult on this. He's got a 1v3 to find Tom.
Trying to be a bit cheeky around the back of it. They are holding passive, waiting for him to try and make this move. And of course, Nuke is going to land the headshot. G2 win in the most G2 fashion ever. It's genuinely frustrating because firstly, how does Hoodie do more when he has a classic?
Yes.
When he has a gun. Oh God.
One enemy remaining.
That's got to be so frustrating. Again, just the reclaim from Nuke at the end of the round to get a couple of kills. Like, he has been so deadly all the way throughout. Tour de force already in play. I'll be honest, I'm looking at Mixer at the bottom of the board. Half the time I forget he's playing because he is that B-site anchor and just, there's been no one there.
You can't even blame him for not...
No.
Like, you can't do anything. Guys, they're not B. Guys,
well, I flashed deep into B. There's still no one there.
Yeah. This could be like a change up of looks. So again, they've done that indicator that maybe we're exploring middle, like careful of double door. But I actually quite like the fact they're exploring a little bit towards elbow, so maybe a little bit of layering to this from OG. Maybe the first time they test that side, because it's easy to rest on your laurels if you are Mixwell, because you just haven't had that test, right? But look who's coming back around for a second glance. It's Nuki, and it's perfect. He's going to punish one. Veku now fallen. You're looking towards... Who else is there? Any trades? No, but look how they're trying to approach this now. Mixwell has to be careful. There is still presence here, and if he doesn't get checked on Nuki, oh, the timing's great. Mixwell looks back for just a second, catches a glance towards Hype, and, well, Boo slipped through a little bit, but this would be a tall task.
They're trying to reclaim the spike, which they've been able to do at least. That's something, but the time is ticking. Like, basically, they have to get a very fast entry in onto the site on Mixwell, and then they have to basically hold on in the afterplan. Now, the first is possible, but if that spike goes down, the round is already over. Mixwell could end it on his own.
Last player standing.
Well, it's looking like, as you said, round is pretty much done. And Mixwell, look, it's a tick in the box, right? Because it does suck being that player on the site that just no one's coming to. You're sat there, your score's looking like absolute booty cheeks, and you're just like, well, can't wait
I'm
for
gonna
another
get blamed
VLR
for
thread.
this.
Literally, like, can't wait for it. Let's go. But again, he's doing his job. The one time they actually lean towards B, they try and exploit a little bit. Of course, he did have the support there of Nookie coming in perfectly through window at the timing of that. But again, doesn't overpeak, doesn't outdo, you know, anything that he needs to. He's just playing it very well. So credit to that. As OG, they strayed from the plan, Tom, and that's where it went wrong. They got to go back to what they know, the A site.
Yeah, the problem is they've now got no money left to do it because a lot of these rounds have been very costly, so
Yeah.
they're not really going to be playing with much. We've seen them pop a Hunter's Fury or two in the past. Again, we're going to see this cross into mid. They've got to be careful that the cage doesn't run out before they actually escape, but they have made that play forward. They're also using a screen. I feel like there's so much information right now about where this push is coming from.
Yeah, and Hoodie's going to look towards it as well. Operated by his side, and Meadow just tapping towards main. My game taking a moment to catch up, but it's all good. Boo. Just going to find Meadow in the meantime, but it's all swiftly dealt with. As the scoreline now leaning favorably towards G2, who are asking for adaptation and for, you know, players to find comfort, like, you know, Hoodie, for example, who was just left in no man's land, constantly getting pinched. And they have, to be fair. They've found a little bit of that footing. Double AWP, too.
Yeah, the thing is, though, I don't know how much of the adaptation is on them. I feel like Oglu have now tried to force the issue elsewhere. Fair enough. Their plan didn't work. They lost the pistols. You go, okay, that was awful. We've got to do something else. And their initial take was very, very good. I think their A site execution's been better. Now, though, you've got Hoodie with an operator. So it's a completely different ballgame going in towards this site. He's going to be taking a fairly aggressive stance. Even waits. He waits for the knife.
Oof.
Look where he
One
is.
tag. Oh, that's unreal. Hoodie. This could be absolute filth. And on the other side, OG are none the wiser. And the guillotine comes down. Finds Spec you, and he can just get away from this. Hoodie, no danger of being traded. Does the damage and backs.
They've actually popped the null command here. They're going to try and make that execution. The double stack of utility didn't really work out in time. A little bit late. And, well, Nuki again. That rotational operator from above has caught someone so many times. Boo left to try and fight, and well, this is what they needed. Double operator seemingly working out for G2, and Meadows there to close it. A strong resurgence in the end for a half, which, I'll be honest, probably should have gone to Oglu.
Yeah. Yeah, those final couple of rounds being strung together were huge. That changed the entire dynamic of what this game was feeling like, because you're right. I looking back on it, OG seemed to have, like, the remedy, right? They had everything they needed for this A take. Like, yeah, a couple of rounds you had of Over doing some damage and bits and pieces, but again, the take looked pretty solid. They adapted, they tried to explore middle a little bit, which I did not mind the concept of, but again, maybe overcooking it a little bit when they had what was working. But it is what it is. At this point, 7-5 is still a decent scoreline for me. I don't know how OG match up on this, and if we're having a weird day from G2 where they're not having a, you know, a good performance necessarily, it could be hard to judge. But 7-5 is a competitive enough scoreline that hopefully we see a good game now in the second half as well.
Yeah, I want to see more out of the likes of Mozy and Feku especially. They're the more aggressive agents, and they really struggled when it came down to that attacking side. The fact is, though, this is a straight-up B play. You've got the setup once again. Now, this has worked wonders in the past, just looking for the tag to try and get a kill on the cross, but I think actually both players took shots through that smoke.
There's damage on either side, so it kind of looks like it. Spike is down. And G2 going to get themselves into that post line nice and quickly.
You rat. No, this is not. You're basically still in spawn. A spawn camping of Over is going to win them the round. I feel I need a bar.
That was unpleasant.
Get me a cold shower after that one. I feel dirty.
Oh, Christina Aguilera dirty. That sort of degree. Like, we're rolling it back. You know, it's the classic, like, why is he in spawn? And this time he actually is. It has worked really well.
This is where he types in chat, like, Soz AFK at start of round.
Just got back, lol.
But the screen was going up. Mid went, no. It was typo, sorry. BRB.
8-5. Oof. And this is where, in my mind, and this is where I'm happy to be proven wrong, I see G2 take control of this game, right? This is where maybe the comfort on this map comes into effect. You expect a little bit more of that. And simply in my mind, I'm still a little bit new to OG. I don't know their depth. I don't know their, how they're going to look on a map like this. They've had some pretty poor results in the past. So again, it does, weigh a little bit heavier, but maybe to be proven wrong. For now, similar scenes, and look who's in spawn again.
Spike planted. No charges left.
Ratman. I think just gonna have to try and clear him. But the fact is, it doesn't matter, because even though he's here, even though they expect him, Ratman is somehow finding all of the kills.
That's Ratman for you.
Last player
The
standing.
protector of Gotham.
No copyright, please.
I did watch Batman, was it yesterday or the day before? I tried to, and I got a little bit bored halfway through, which is not good.
I was about to say, which one?
The most recent one. And then I ended up watching Fifth Element instead. Really went for it.
But you didn't like goth Batman? It didn't work out for you?
I do, look, I like emo Batman, but it's just like, I'm already moody enough. I don't need to watch a movie about it, so... It was interesting, though. I'll probably finish it today, maybe. At 9-5, though, we do start to beg the question. OG need to make the stand now. If I see double digits with G2, I know that one of these people, be it Ratman, be it Nookie, one of them will probably pull off a round, right? They'll have a round. Now, if OG want to chance back into this, in my mind, I want to see it start now, and it has to run pretty quick, because this buy back in from G2, not bad by any means.
Yeah, they went heavier on the rifles, and then Evova's actually, even though he lost one in the last, has decided to buy one back up. So I think they're feeling incredibly confident in this side of the map. Are we about to go from one team rinsing the A site to now the other team rinsing the B site? Is that the game we're watching?
Such a treat casting Valorant sometimes. Just the diversity
mix
in
it up?
sight hits.
Can we get someone to edit them together so that we have a difference of rounds?
Oh, Hoodie. Just giving Destry in the fight of his life.
I will take Autorb. Thanks, Hoodie.
Good work.
Worthwhile trade.
Oh dear. Right. Where do we go now, G2? Where are we off to now? There is a Molesy in mid. I want to see if he gets a little bit of a fight. They are leaning back through, so Nookie might get... I wonder whose timing works out, essentially.
He gets tour de force off this. If he gets a kill, that's tour de force for Nuclear in a bonus round. I expected him to be a bit more patient with the shot. I guess maybe expecting Molesy to turn, and instead it's Mixwell finding one with the Marshall. Now this is a heavy investment than you'd normally see in this sort of round. So
left.
for G2, it's actually more about winning it rather than just doing damage.
All right, Evover and Meadow, I think, are the two ones that can really facilitate that. Unless Mixwell gets given someone over peaks or makes the problem, that would be Boo if there was going to be one, because the side take's coming in. You can already see the pressure coming towards him. He has to try and keep alive, play his life, and he's going to do the best he can and pump at least towards Evover. But there was another fight. It was Meadow swinging through. Now, Feck, you're going to find Evover, but look at what's remaining. Two players, Meadow and Mixwell. This would need something huge from Mixwell as well, try and play off maybe the back of the pillar. No flash to hand yet either. 20 seconds off that. Is the gun in the hand. That's all he's got in a 1v3. One of the players is low, but you can see them doubling up. They are not taking too many risks here. They want to find this final man. And a rifle, the timing's atrocious.
I was thinking, I was like, there's definitely a rifle at his foot.
There's a gun around there somewhere.
But I guess he just wanted to try and catch someone and then switch, and that person never peeked. So, hey, it's a 6th round on the board for Oglu. Plant might facilitate some sort of investment here for G2. They're gonna have a weird economy, and actually because of the tour de force, they're gonna go for it, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice to see timing in another angle. 9-6. And the buy, I mean, it's actually not that bad. It's not great, but it's not the worst.
This is a nice spot.
Guardian out for Evover, but otherwise, pretty decent. Let's see what Nookie can do. Tour de force gonna be popped. I assume has been popped.
If Evover ends up in a Viper's pit with a Guardian, I am gonna end up laughing. Because it's just he's so close to it. I'm like, I understand, of course, on this map why you've gone for a Guardian, but if they manage to get into an afterplant, it's just one of the worst guns he can have, unless he's just going... I guess he could just go for straight, chest shots and just hope that the person's taken enough decay. Very slow round though, and honestly, I know that a lot of the time you're going to see Nuclear calling here. I wouldn't be surprised if the call was, "I'm going to try and get a pick."
Yep. It's a pretty decent call, to be fair.
It's the best one they've got.
So you're just like flipping through the playbook, and it's just get picked.
Me.
Right.
It's just a picture of his own pick. No, he opens up his book and it's just got a little mirror in it, and he's like, "Yes, that is the
found
play,"
it, boys.
and closes the book.
Someone could maybe make a little cartoon of that. I'll give you like 10 euros or something. I'm down. Let's go. For now, though, 35 seconds, and they need to make this work, but... Oh, Mossy just eats that flash, still swings it, still good for a 1-for-1 trade. But again, 25 seconds, they're leaving this so late. Look at the spike. Going through the long way around, and Nuki needs to hold this cross. He better hold this cross, but Hoodie is the one to swing out. Again, trades coming in, not so effective this time. Destrian's still alive. All comes through. And there it is. It's what you desperately wanted to see. And actually, Meadow taking damage as well. Ooh, just about to keep his life. 26 HP and still standing. And Meadow pushes out to find Destrian, a 2v2 now.
Spamming out of it with the Guardian, hoping that he could find something. Still, though, this has come back to a winnable position. Meadow waiting on the edge, the spam ever so close, and Hype will find him in the end. Now it comes down to Avova with the Guardian, and well, who could have seen that going wrong?
Time for vengeance. Don't worry. Oh, looks so poetic. Scoreline closing in a little here for OG. 9-7 now. And where's the money at for G2? Because that last one was a bit weird. Got 2.7, 3K. Oof. Things are looking a little rough around the edges. And this is still a pretty competitive series. For what I thought was going to be G2 trying to, you know, stamp off, do a Fnatic sort of performance, right? Where it's like very, very concise, you know, to the point. Not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a Bucky and a Bulldog.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. We've got the shorty on Nuke here, but it's sort of like a... It's misleading. He's not going to be using it. So I'd like, if it's on any other agent, I'm like, nah.
What if he does, Tom?
He might, but only if he gets into a position where it makes sense. It's not just like he's running around with it like an absolute madman, like you might see in your matchmaking games. There's actually some thought process here, which is nice.
Oh, you're saying that with so much conviction and wait for him to do the weirdest stuff.
I always believe in Nukia. Always.
It's a fair assessment to make. And really, this was all maybe sent to motion by Hoodie finding something in this round, and he's got nothing for it. So Meadow and Avova, damage would be great, but I don't know how much you're going to get of that. Money not quite completely stable for OG, but it's certainly en route. They could do with a nice clean round here. And Meadow already going to find boost, so probably not going to get what they wanted. Becky's a little low. And Avova, always dangerous. Always a threat with that man. And the flash, quite good. No one able to make much of it, though.
Yeah, just an awkward standoff. Shock dart's not really landing.
30 seconds left.
Time going to eventually be the main issue for G2 here, but they're just trying to do damage. And well, I think Meadow just looking the wrong way. That's a nasty little shot.
You're not
they do have to be careful.
Weapons. You're not going to lose any more. Oh, double up. Good.
Okay.
Good. Glad the spacing wasn't a problem, because I was starting to get a little nervous. Okay, 9-8. Now we do have the money's back with G2, so they can fashion a good purchase. One bonus to this. But again, OG are not looking walkovers in this at all, Tom.
Like at this point, you have got G2, I think, winning both pistols, right?
Don't ask me these questions.
They've won both pistols in this game, and it's 9-8. So if anything, OG have been the better side. I think especially in the first half, they won 5 out of 6 rounds, and it was only like the 4 blitz at the end that ended up going back in the other direction. Now they've managed to actually really stabilize on the defense after what has only been the pistol on follow-up. All the other rounds have gone in the other direction. So that's the thing. If G2 pick Breeze, win both pistols, and lose, that is not a good showing from them at all.
No. And maybe why there is a timeout coming in as well. Time to discuss and expand on a couple of maybe the indicators or issues they've been having so far, because they do need to address something in this, because as you said, with those indicators going in their way so favorably, normally you do see the close. This game is, MR12 happens quick, man. It's those couple of rounds you get off a pistol are actually massive. So we are going to see them buy back into this round. They should have a decent enough purchase. No operator coming out and no, obviously, tour de force for Nukie. But beyond that, they should be in good form. Feku on the other side does have his, however, so do keep a mind towards that, a mind's eye towards it. But I'm worried about G2 if they start hitting a little bit of a wall in this. But for now, we have to see what this purchase looks like for them.
Well, even going back to the interview that Nuke did earlier, it seemed like there was frustrations in the individuals, which is an awful sign for the team if things start going wrong. And he sat there top of the board and going, well, that ain't my fault. I'm telling you that for sure. So could get a little bit scary. Speaking of that, Destrian's position, not the normal spot for a Sova with full util. But hey, if he gets something, he's turned away. Oh, timing is everything. It's like a standoff, but neither player knows the other is there.
No, Destrian. Oh, Mixwell's got to keep his life for now. And no overextend. The temptation to chase, I'm sure, was there, but Destrian going to back away, dip away. And they've seen scenes like this before. They're getting flashbacks to Ratman. They know what this could be. They have 3 players here this time, and I wonder how long they stick around. I'm looking at Feku towards CT. Destrian spotting a whole lot coming his way around elbow as well. So this is looking relatively committed here from G2.
30
Holding
seconds
for a second, waiting for that peek from mid-window. It's not coming. We know that Feku's on site. He's sitting waiting for this one, and they have to make the hit happen now.
Vova already getting the entry in. Nuke's found another one. It seems like they might have just come up trumps when they need, but they haven't cleared Hype just yet. Finally, he will fall, and the remaining players are too far away to deny. Oh, thereabouts. Doesn't quite reach him.
So close. Trying to play this back in is going to be so difficult, though. That wall in place, the post-plant positions are so complementary on this. Molsey and Boo, they got their work cut out right now. So yeah, you can be a nuisance towards Nukie, but the cross is still being watched. And they're just being given nothing here. A burst coming out of Mixwell. Quick shutdown on 2, and it's what the doctor ordered for G2. They needed a round like this. It was looking a little bit dangerous, that mid-presence coming through. There could have been something to it, but no. They kept it all in check, and that burst towards site. I mean, I was expecting Feku to do some real damage.
We've seen, and it's a shame that I feel like we genuinely should have just seen Oglu continuously go A and G2 continuously go B. It's not a good strat, but it definitely seems to be the one that works.
It's weird, isn't it? I mean, I do feel as though there's a reason we haven't seen that much Breeze this season so far. It does just feel like a map that's fallen out of favor so quickly. I don't know. I kind of like Breeze. How do you sit on the Breeze train? Are you a fan, or are you one of the people who greatly dislike it?
It's not as bad as Icebox, but it's definitely close. I feel like I see, the thing is, I love the maps that really show creativity, and I feel like a lot of teams on this map have sort of stagnated because like you almost have to have certain pieces. Like we've seen the Chamber almost become a must. A lot of the time, a Sova is a must as well. Viper is then a must, and then there's a little bit of wiggle room with what you do with the like extra initiator, or maybe you throw in a Sentinel or something. But there's not like I'm not going to come into a day and go, wow, that's completely different to what I expected. Even with like massive role changes, like we even had that going into this map. I said to you, I was like, oh, it's very similar, and I was like, actually no, they have changed a lot, but it's like.
Yeah,
it sounds. I just don't care. Like it's it's the same agents that I see every week. They're not going to teach me something new about the map, and I think that's what I enjoy. That's why I've loved seeing like Ascent recently. It wasn't always one of my favorite maps to watch, but because Fade has been so popular there, it's like, okay, this is really niche. This is really cool. It's also why I enjoy Fracture at the moment as well, because I don't feel like anyone's nailed the map on the head. Like there's some very good comps. But there's not one that everybody has agreed this is the comp. In fact, it's wildly different between different teams, so that makes it fun.
Yeah, I do think it's one of the. I mean, it's one of the defining qualities of Valorant is, you know, the ability to bring out such a different looking composition and completely change how a game runs, right? I think, you know, Optic obviously gave us a glimpse of that to an extent with the Neon coming out and looking like it was one of the most logical choices that no one had seemingly made so far and made it look fantastic. I know obviously Soulcast had been trying it out, but it never really found that same footing. And then
it's
suddenly
like
you're
a
like,
Crew
oh, wow.
did it as well. Like I remember Crew being one of the first to try it, and I was like, there's definitely something here. They've done well with it. What can others roll? And then you start seeing the sort of like finesse executions, and it's just so nasty the way that you're, especially when people weren't expecting it. Like now people are starting to see like the same things done again and again, but it's like watching Kushner on this map. I really enjoy seeing how aggressive he is playing Fracture, because even though you know what he's going to do, you can't stop him.
I mean, isn't that one of the most telling things? I think you can look at a couple of players and go, well, I know what they're going to do, but how am I meant to deal with it? It's actually kind of wild. At Tente, though, we dive back in, and thank you for your patience. We'll be picking up where we left off, and G2 showing a little bit more capability now, starting to look a little bit more comfortable. Still going to have a purchase here for Oglu, and keep in mind, their ult economy is in a very good position, excluding Beku. So, at this point, we'll see what they can achieve here, because they need to get around on the board, I feel, because at the moment, you're seeing G2 really take control of this, and Hoodie with the punish, baiting off the back of the Aldra and just going to swing and, well, find Molzy and actually find Beku as well. Hoodie, what a bit of a tear. Oh, dearie me, this is a disaster for OG. You're going to be feeling silly after this one. Hype finally puts him down, but look at what's remaining.
Yeah, he basically has to solo hold the site and only just about manages to make it around the corner. He's got his cage. I do love this man's setups. They're quite ratty, but it seems like they're not willing to push into it. They've just gone, okay, we have time. Screw your cages. You're going to be left with nothing. And it works. That's the thing. When the clock isn't low, his setups aren't anywhere near as deadly.
Spike planted.
And, well, Boo's on the other side of the map. He's on the non-fun side of the map, at least if you're playing against G2. And there are a couple of questions I do want to address. Obviously, no Hypoc, but still have tech timeout. Please explain. Well, that's a great question. Maybe I'm the problem.
He's here in spirit.
Yeah, I'm sure he's watching at home. Sat there on his couch, just going through the motions, which he normally does.
I bet every time there was like a mental round that couldn't be explained, there was just a smile. Just a smile on his face.
Or a tech timeout.
He wasn't asked that question by you of what happened, and I'm going,
no idea.
That thing.
Yeah. You're super welcome. 11-8 though, G2 kind of just grinding their way through this game, it feels, at this point. It's not particularly... Well, that round was quite nice because we had, what, I think it was Hoodie kind of popping off, but... I mean, this just feels kind of meat grinding. We've seen literally this map in... No, you know, normally there's like a very hard game to cast, for example. It's like when you have a very one-sided, you know, first half, or you have another one-sided half, or you have one-sided maps. They're quite tricky to cast because there's no flow to the game, there's no fight back, it's all one-sided. But I've never had a game so polarizing with it being one site on one half and the other on the other half. It's a really unique affair in that sort of aspect. Now, we do see that OG's still able to facilitate a purchase, and again, so many ults online, still to lean into. You can see one of them being popped here, Destrian, trying to make something happen.
I'm actually surprised how much they've got here, because they've gambled on the side of the map, which ironically you just spoke about. They didn't really play. They managed to find an opening pick and do a little bit of extra damage along with the ultimate. Like, that's so much committed into A side. That was a hard read being attempted by OG London United. And now just look at the deep control that they've got instead. They rely heavily, of course, on Hype to hold down B, but honestly, at this point, he's been fantastic at delaying. It's just when he's the last man standing that it becomes an issue.
This is going to be tricky, though. Again, only got the Spectre. Seeker's about to come out as well. You're feeling so vulnerable. Rotations are coming in. You're going to have support through on CT, but the crunch is going to happen. But the cross I'm watching, how do they make it through this? One flash did come in, but again, they'll be out of it by the time they try and make the cross happen. Is Destrian to punish Nookie? The next one in line. Mixwell, I don't know what the entire plan was to this because the rotations were in. OG, right place, right time. 5 stand. And they read it well. That little aggression over towards that A side, the ult invested behind it was a risky read, Tom, as you said, and it works out, but the rotations were fantastic too.
Yeah, just being able to almost play back off of the control they garnered. And again, like, this is the thing that, okay, there weren't necessarily kills coming through from Hype in this moment, He can't clear him. They can't push him because of his cage setups that they know there's trips somewhere within. So they have to go elsewhere. And just the time that takes alone is enough for the full rotation to come through. That's why someone like him is so valuable to this squad. Because even if he gets nothing, even if he gets 0 kills, he still facilitated the time that is not just G2 getting into an afterplant.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Now, already at this point, though, we're going to see G2 starting to kind of lean into these defaults, kind of holding that aggression, which is probably the right choice after we saw that OG were happy to start walking. Now, that was off the back of the Hunter's Fury from Destrian, so you obviously can't do that, 1-for-1 again, but I like the theory from G2. Hold a default, check, make sure no one's trying to get information, which is obviously high on the priority list for OG. Are we going to see the same thing again? Is it going to be the same APs, or are they going to start trying to explore other things? You want to cheat that player over early, try and get that player in the right place. Maybe Molesy could try and hit that rotation, but already we see them trying to lean back towards B. I do wonder if they start going walkabouts for information or try and find some facts, because I'm sure they're getting tempted by this.
Interestingly, they've actually rotated away from this side. Again, like the pressure about to come in onto Hype. Delaying is going to be everything. You can already see the cage there and just the spam coming through, already tagged up by the drone. So they know exactly where this man is. But again, they've ground to a hole. He's going to swing off it, though.
Okay, that's a little too risky for my taste, and Destrian doesn't hit the shot he needed to at least slow the roll. Spike's already towards the back of the site, though. Already made that cross. 2 players as well peeking towards main, and Destrian still keeping himself sitting pretty, which I do not know how. Hoodie looking to be a difference maker towards mid as well. Look towards that connector, and no one's quite there, but players already coming in towards the wall as well. One towards CT, and OG are getting close. This is an awkward battle so far. No one giving Hoodie any easy targets. Those knives just going astray, and it's actually Nuki and Meadow find Boo and Feku, but now this is all falling towards G2. And again, the rotations, Tom. Wrong place, wrong time this time around. This was a curious read. There was nothing to really give away that A piece, unless I missed some utility or steps or an audio cue that pulled them away from the B site, leaving once again just one man trying to deal with 5.
Yeah, it looked like Hype really just tried to hit a timing there with all of the utility, maybe expecting them to be a little bit closer because they know where you are, so it was being pressured from it. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's been such a heavy B lean from G2 that I guess at a time Oglu are just going, okay, they got to go A now. They got to go A now, and it's like, well, look at your own setup. Look at what you were doing. Like, so they've gone for the same execution again. Like, Hype's in basically, once his utility's gone, he's in 50-50 duels. He has to look for a timing where he catches someone and hope that that's enough to delay, drop the spike, whatever. And it wasn't. And Destrian's just holding the cross onto the remaining players from getting through. But it's such a hard thing for Hype to do consistently, to just basically be this B-side anchor. We've seen so many players really struggle with it in the past because it's such a huge map. Like, you can't just allow for, okay, if we have one player on A, that's never going to fly. But when G2 are playing like this, I feel like you can't have one player on B either.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't. I mean, the logic's missing, right? And you're highlighting it, right? Like, Hype is very good at this. But the best he can achieve is playing his life to an extent. And as I said, beyond that, you just end up in the impossible. They're holding the default. Nothing's being given away early. So unless you're going to go exploring, you are gambling, right? And you've got to go off what you know, which is, so far, they really love a B site take. Now, of course, that means that G2 gets the options to run where they want. They could flip the script and go, well, guess we're going A this round. Screw it. Why not? Let's toy with them. But again, you got to hedge your bets a little bit. And once again, it's this A lean. 3 players leaning this way.
They're just going to Viper's pit it? Is that it? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. That makes more sense, because I saw them, like, they had this early aggression, like basically using the cam to check outside B. Nothing there. So then you just see Hype leave, and I was like, okay, where is this going? But they just want to lock it down. Have those extra players elsewhere. Still keep one in the form of Destrian to try and cover in towards mid. I think it's a good adaptation. G2 don't look scared by it at all.
Nope. We saw them split through mid, though. They utilized elbow before pretty perfectly. No one was playing towards window. There was no punish from it, so they may lean back into that. They don't look too afraid to run the clock down either. Now, this is the first utility that they've really heard coming in. They got to know it's going to be this B piece, and they're like, surely not. There's a Viper's pit here. It's like, well, there's other ways to the site. Don't worry, they found it. There's a whole mid open. Hoodie's just going walkabouts. Happy enough clearing as he goes. Now, they can't quite clear the players in the Viper's pit yet. Destrian's still good to find a Vova. You can see Hoodie going hunting. Trying to find it, but look at the ring around from Boo. Gives him the fright of his life, and there's Destrian still holding down the line. Finally, there's some help on the site, and it's not just one man alone. Anuki just wants to keep that operator, and that's the name of the game. 10 is going to be found by OG, but they will not have that Viper's Pit next round.
Yeah, it's something that's definitely not recreatable, but it's the same way we can sort of look back at the last half. Is that going to be enough to force G2 to actually start changing up their style, to start moving in a different direction? They had a lot of success in mid. Like, think about that 3K that came through from Hoodie in one of the only rounds where they went in a different direction. Because of that, Oglu haven't been able to take that same level of space anymore because they have to be wary of someone waiting behind. This was just so well played from Destrian and Boo, though. Ring around the Rosie, supporting each other, almost baiting players in, using Boo as like, okay, we need to shut this guy out to get rid of the pit, and then Destrian uses that as a moment to take that space back. And I think if we're looking at an MVP of this series so far, he's the only one that I could really see even close to it. Like, Destrian's been superb. Yeah,
even just... I mean, Matt Bomb was a highlight, but even here you're seeing that value certainly showing. Now again, does G2 flip the script now? They are at least in control in the mind games of that regard because they've set that tempo of we're going B no matter what you think, but it does seem as though OG's ignoring that because they have been cheating 3 players over towards that A site early on. However, this time, of course, they've tried to supplement that, leaving Destrian, our main man himself, over there, but now we do see the side hit coming in. Actually, Feku gonna eat that. I didn't think he was in range, and Hoodie, it's the freest kill of his life. Molzy left stun locked by this as well. All drops, and yeah, the spike's gone down. Hoodie just unleashing at this point. Finally quelled, finally dealt with, and Molzy doubles down. Mixwell's gone too. What's happened here? It's a 3v3.
Oh, this afterplant's nasty, though. Multiple shot darts, snake bites, and, of course, the Hunter's Fury. Like, there's even the operator in from Nuclear as well, which can just keep contact for now. They also don't really have much in terms of actual smokes to section them off. They're just going to have to take raw firefights versus a sheer afterplant. Yeah, you're right. Destrian just trying to get up in their face, and, well, he's not going to win the battle.
No, and you're right. Time is of the essence. You know, here's that fated voice line to come down, and Hype knows he is done for. Molzy can do nothing but watch, and the post plan was too perfect, and it took a moment or two to hit this A site. Half of the game was spent on the other side of the map, but they finally make their appearance. They still show as much diligence as is required. 13-10, G2 gonna get us back on track to a degree, but I'd still say that was a close enough game that keeps me wondering for map 3 now.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I was expecting Breeze to be, I guess, further in favor of G2. I think, obviously, we came into this series with a 2-0 on the cards almost in most people's eyes. So the fact that this has gone to a third map is a much better sign for Oglu. And, hey, it's meant to be a middle ground. They've done well on their opponent's map choice. And maybe Destrian can continue his run of form. The guy is honestly fantastic.
Well, Fracture's on the horizon, so let's not wait too long. Let's get there as soon as we can. So we're going to go to a break, and when we're back, you'll be joined by the desk.
Dare to challenge yourself. Who's next?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Here we go. It's time to show the world. We gonna rise up. I won't ever let us fall. Here we go. It's time to show the world that we're gonna rise up. I won't ever let us fall. No. Won't ever let us fall. No. I won't ever let us fall. Here we go. It's time to show the world that we're gonna rise up. Let us fall, no.
Dare to challenge yourself. Who's next?
Welcome back, friends. We just saw a breeze between G2 and Oglu, and G2 were victorious. Yes, breeze was a bit windy. It took a while to end, but G2 still take it. I'm Medic, your host, with me are Kakuka and Lothar. Friends, how did we get to this second map win for G2?
I mean, let's take it from the top, right? Let's talk about G2 and their defensive half, and also how OG London United was, attacking on A constantly over and over. But of course, there's only so many things that G2 can change to face it, because at some point they think that they will go on to B. So it's not like they can just decide and be like, yeah, we'll take it from another time. So surprised to see that Oglu with that strat gets 5 rounds on the attacks. Some of them extremely close. But then when it came to G2's attacks, we saw so much depth, so many different plays coming in from them. Of course, a lot of things that were definitely prepared for this matchup. And, talking a little bit about the role swap, seeing Hoodie back on the Jet with those entries, to me, it was also mostly about Nuki on the Chamber.
Yeah, and on defense, Hoodie, you mentioned him like on the Jet, right? But he had troubles playing on defense. He was being caught by Oglu so many times. That's where the nerf just affects you so much. Something that Chamber is like, he can stand there all the time. He can TP whenever he wants, right? Jet, not anymore. You have to play like efficiently with the dash. But in general, I would say that G2 really played well against the double sentinel setup. I was a little bit disappointed that Oglu wasn't actually playing as tight as I thought they will play on the defense. Even though they had the access to 3 different traps that I can set up on the maps, they still had some pieces of the map not being controlled in many rounds, which is very odd.
And to me, that was a big difference between the two teams. I do not think that Oglu thought that they were going to see Breeze today. I think that as they thought, we're floating bind, we're not banning it. Of course, G2 is going to fall into that trap, and probably they had something ready for that. But here on Breeze is not only being and feeling flat on the attack, is as you mentioned on the defense, okay, Hype is going to be onto B, he has the nice setups, but G2 actually was able to read onto that.
Yeah, by the way, also, this was a 13-10, right? But let's not forget about the fact that G2 won both pistol round, converted the second round after the pistol round, and still the match was so close. I feel like if Oglu would have been a little bit tighter, G2 could have been just under the bus right now.
Well, our head-to-head for this map, Destrian and Meadow, top performers, I guess, in many ways for their teams. They even saved G2's skin, as you were just saying, Lothar.
200 ADR. That was Destrian was pulling on the board. He lost, by the way. Don't forget to mention that.
It's actually kind of crazy. This is not ACS. This is ADR. He's on the losing team, and he deals average 200 damage. That's crazy. And I mean, both Sovas were performing really well, and it just showcases how Sova's instrumental still as a character, even after those brutal nerfs that he has right now on open maps. Icebox, Breeze, those are his maps.
Yeah, especially on these occasions, we need them, because I feel like especially Meadow during Masters was not having the best of performances. So see him back on the server, of course, it warms our hearts, and actually the way that he was playing, as we said, around the new roles. What are your thoughts, though, on Mixwell on Sky? Just on defense, he didn't have that much of a, but I understand.
Yeah, we just wanted to backtrack to Meadow for one moment. You have to mention those small setups with the snake bites and shock darts, by the way. Really well done by G2.
Let's go to the lab. Lothar, you got something to break down?
We have so many topics.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so first thing that I wanted to break down is I wanted to introduce to you to the new piece of utility that was now introduced in this new patch, and it's called Avova, the Trap. So essentially, that's how it's worked. That's his role right now. Because there's only one trap on the chamber, we're going to zoom in on the minimap. Look at where the trap is, right? The trap is guarding just the spawn in case someone rotates through a main, because typically when a chamber trap was being used, it was being placed either in this spot or in this spot here, right? So, and then the second one is being used for elbow control, so you don't have to worry about those flanks. But now with only one trap being set up, this is why you see Avova just controlling the entire elbow possibility of the flank, and because of that, he's able to get 2 kills, because I feel like the teams are not yet expecting that a player will be holding flanks, because Valorant as a game just has so much utility that allows you to control those flanks. And second clip is a post plant on A, where gonna zoom in on the minimap. You can see already there's a Viper wall that is used for retake, but it also leaves this small gap here for the plant. And that's something that Oglu will use for the plant themselves, but they got actually insanely lucky, because that space is being there for a reason. Avova wanted to spray in that position. Unfortunately, he misses, and now he has to use his orb for the A control, because his Viper wall is useless now for the retake because the plant is in front of it, right? But unfortunately, he misses it by an inch, and there's a small gap, and Destron, with this quick read, he's like, there's a gap, I'm taking this space. And this is why Destron was also performing so well, because he's quick on his feet when it comes to just exposing and punishing mistakes that are being done by the opponents.
Punishing mistakes. Fracture. That might be something that we'll have to dig into even deeper.
A lot of punishing.
Yeah, compared to what we saw in our first series for today. Of course, this is our decider for this best of 3 series. Kakuka, what is there to expect?
I mean, I expect definitely something different from OG London United. I think that they were not very prepared for Breeze, as we saw in the attack, which brings to me at least another question. Why did not decide with the composition that they were running to start on the defense? But moving on to actually talking about Fracture, they only played once during the entirety of Stage 1. They were having good performances before that, but it was against FPX that they had that loss, even though they ended up winning the entire match. And for G2, we saw them last week playing against FPX, probably FPX performing some changes that they didn't expect, but G2 looked good.
I mean, G2 did look good, but also were, as you said, facing FPX, which didn't play Euro anymore, and played very efficiently. So now now G2 has that learning process being initiated by the previous loss, and it's gonna be, I feel like, a very tough map for Oglu right now. Even though they showed on the first and the second map that they're a very efficient team, they have good defensive setups, at least on Ascent they were really pristine, on Breeze not so much, but on Fracture you can be very creative with those defensive setups.
The pressure is still all on G2 for this, because they're the ones that need to take this W, get the extra points to remain in contention for the top 3 spot in their group.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that after not only getting the first one, but actually making the second one so close, Oglu is super hungry. They used to run the double duelist on this composition, as we were seeing on our screens. Multi on Brace, something that, you know, we always like to see, but looks like the changes are going to come in. I was expecting that Destro was going to go on the fade.
Yeah, there are a lot of changes now, because we have Boo on Sage, right? Multi is
on the race.
Multi on the race. Some people kind of still associate him with only initiators, but don't forget, he was also playing even Reyna in some matches before. He's a good duelist. Now on the other side of the coin, we have G2.
So Hootie is now the Neon, and Nuki is on the Chamber.
I feel like Nuki was like, you know what? Just give me the carry, you know? Like, I'm the most consistent player of the team. Just give me additional amount of weapons so I don't have to worry, and I'll carry the team. I mean, his as Tom said, also mentioned during the game, right? Nuki did put a little bit of a light on the current perspective of the team, and it seems like he just needs to do more work himself.
I wonder how also Feki is going to work on the breach, how much he's going to use the utility, you know, being used to playing for himself, let's call it that way, how he's going to perform with the rest of the team. Also, I mean, I think it's kind of an evolution, not seeing the Viper coming in on the side of Oglu.
Can G2 take the victory and get those points sorely needed to hit the top 3? Let's get into the game and find out.
Yes, let's do that indeed. And Tom, this composition change or I guess role swap, I don't really know what to talk about it when it comes to, you know, how G2 at least are looking. What are your takeaways of this? What do you at least like the concept to it? Do you like the theory behind it?
I'm still just thinking why Kellogg's was taken out of the team. It feels like a bit of a weird one. I guess they're just trying to patch things up with the roster they've got, and so they've moved Hoodie to a more aggressive role. It allows Nuclear to basically play the star, which I'm fine with, but it leaves Mixer in a few odd spots, and I think that's where things become a little bit more awkward, because I'm waiting to see him have a solid performance on some of these more supportive roles, because we didn't get to see much of his Sky in the last map.
No.
I don't think his KO is anything to write home about, and now he's back there again. And I actually really did used to enjoy the KO that came out from Hoodie. So the fact that this has been a decision that's made rather than Mixor going back to the duelist, there must be a reason behind it. So we'll wait and see if it works. On the other side of things, I don't mind the swaps. I think bringing in a more utility-based composition, moving away from the old double duelist and giving Molesy the chance to be that superstar. I think he has the ability to do it, and they're going to need him in this game.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen... It's not that we haven't seen much from him, but I guess in my mind, I've seen Destrian in this.
Yes.
In this best of 3 at the very least for OG. So I guess that then puts my attention right back to... Okay, well then what do we see from Molesy? Does he have that capability? Sure, Hype was worth his weight in holding this side, but now I need to see a little bit of punch from Molesy, which could be a nice concept if that does come in. And of course, on the other side, there's a lot to be looked at. Does Hoodie look good on the Neon? Does that suit him well? Is it something that, you know, he can, I don't know, handle to that extent? Does it suit him in playstyle? Nuki on the other side of things as well. We've seen the guy be a superstar, but now he's been given that role. How does he suit in it, right? Because Chamber it's the big role these days. So, I mean, I guess wait and see, right? They've got every step towards A that they need so far, and OG are holding deep.
This is already looking like a setup for the retake. It's going to have to just be the straight-up main push. Spam might find a little bit of extra damage, but they're waiting. I like it, just making sure that it's going to be a relatively easy cross. They're actually looking for all of the trips as well. They're like, okay, there's a smoke down and Hype was here. That must mean there's a trip somewhere, and there is. They just haven't walked into it.
Yeah, all good so far. And none of the utility having too much of an effect. I guess Hoodie being pushed out of position, but he's still going to claim Hype with him. So if anything, it's a bonus to him. There's a long old flank on the way, but it's not going to come into practice for a while. And they need to win the fight on the side, which they've done at least towards finding Hoodie. Still need more, though. Meadow's still here, and he's still flying. That flash was weird. Didn't do what it wanted at all. So Meadow actually going unchecked on at this moment. Surely they swing and clear, and they don't. And it's a disaster in the making. The control almost got in that pick on towards Destrian as well. But Mixwell closes down the round, but how could you ignore someone like Meadow on the site?
It's a weird one. Like, the flash coming through almost sells, like, maybe there isn't someone in that corner, which I don't think was the intended use of that flash. Almost just attempted to almost counter some of the other utility coming through on the other side. I think also the aftershock that they utilized to clear that corner wasn't deep enough. So there was an aftershock that was put through earlier in the round, and they waited. And because it didn't go into the corner, Meadow just sits there. Whoa, you're probably not going to check that on the way back through because, hey, we cleared that.
Wow, okay. First one for G2 here. A little bit of a fumble, I'd say, on the side there. We can chalk it up to that. But again, we have to see what OG look like on this map to me. Mixwell just going to flash through. And also, this does kind of call into question some of those notions of what do we make of Mixwell in this role? Does he look good on this map? How, how much do we, how does we read into it? Is it still new in this role for him? How long have they been working on it? There's a lot of questions we don't have answers to. Simply put, we're not a coach and we're not in in the voice call with him. So it's just that level of comfort as they go on, because this round's pretty much a throwaway. They went for a gamble stack on A. Obviously, no one was there.
Well, because even the other thing as well is, even if it's enough to get them the win today,
is
it enough to get them the win versus Ascend and Fnatic?
No.
I would say no, and that's the thing. We're not really talking about this matchup of, okay, do G2 beat Oglu? Because ultimately, we expected that from the moment this game started. In fact, we both probably expected to be done by now, especially with this round, because it's definitely got a bit closer than it should have been. But yeah, the fact is, we're almost judging the performance today on, okay, was this good enough that you can run it versus the top teams? And I don't even think we're close to that.
No, especially if we look at Ascend's form, to my mind, has been very nice. Very solid, looking really well-rounded, enough for a tick in the box for me. Fnatic, their performance really, put me back on track. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Even on the other side of things, your FPX coming in, composition changes here and there, new looks, really garnering attention, setting a bit of a tone for other teams on certain maps. If you're throwing him in the mix with that, I don't think this performance has been quite enough to call into that sort of level of effect. However, we do have to look at this round because there are 3 rifles coming through, Meadow, Hoodie, and Mixwell opting into that, and we do have the 2 Spectres left with Nuki and Avova, and on the other side, rifles galore. So this is a big round coming in, and actually OG fighting for the control this time.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. Stun going to be avoided as well. Smoke definitely going to make things a little bit more awkward, but they don't even expect Molesy to be here. Then the spam comes through on the other side, and, well, slaughtered. Every single member dead that actually had a weapon worth talking about. And now, well, It's the Spectre gang slowly making their way back around towards Dish.
You can make little t-shirts for that, maybe. Spectre Gang. Ratman.
Yeah, Ratman I like. Ratman.
Okay, you wouldn't be part of the Spectre Gang?
No, I don't think so. It sounds... firstly, I think there's probably someone who's already patented that for some sort of ghost club. Like some...
Oh, yes, I can see that. Yeah. No, you're
some
right.
bloke out there like, guys, I'm part of Spectre Gang. We're like the Ghostbusters.
Damn. Yeah, the offshoot of the Ghostbusters, infamously known as you can see here, the Spectre Clan. Now, if they make it on site...
They touched
the
ground.
Yeah, they touched the ground. We'll leave it there. OG quickly getting control of things, and we have seen, at least in the last map, G2 were able to get, both of the pistols? And still have very close games, so keep that in mind, that this has been, look, OG just want their work cut out. They like to run it back after a 0-2 start. So we'll see now we're into the gun rounds, but again, not clearing close on A main, because the first 2 rounds, they didn't have any fight on it. Come on now, I'm kind of waiting to see that there's layers to this, right?
The pistols almost seem like they're everything, because both maps have been won by like 3 or 4 rounds. Oglu won both pistols in the first map, and G2 won it in the second. So they've actually been the difference makers both times.
It's ridiculous, isn't it, when you look at it that way so tangibly. No fight this time as well towards A main. Should be a bit of an indicator of intent, but still 2 rifles to look at and note. Avova and Meadow with them, and excuse me, 3. Mixwell has one as well. And this site take, waiting on the verge. You do have the cross being watched. Morsey and Hype unaffected so far. Let's see what the timing's like. Oh, huge pickup. Hoodie's gone down. It's naughtiness coming out from OG. That's a big pick as well. They want to get the plant. Mixwell toying with the concept of it. Does he go for it on his own? He's trying to now. Commits for the plant. The smokes are still up. He still has the support system in place.
Already, Boo gonna drop another pop flash through, but nobody to really make a move off of it. This is just Mixwell's attempt to try and buy a little bit of time. Ultimate's not there, so they're almost reliant on somebody just popping off in this round, and Wall is already putting down to try and isolate some of these players. The trade's still just going in the favor further and further, and okay, there's a Molotov, but that's not gonna buy enough time. It's going to tick it down at least a little bit, but still so much to do.
You need something from Nookie here as well. This guy can deliver, and he's not right now. And now it's over the clutch man himself. That's not bad, and just the body block on the other side. He's desperate for it.
Hey, let go.
Off the spike.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it. He's got it. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Breathe a sigh of relief.
I mean... Bloody hell, that got a little close, didn't it? 2-2 now, so... Avova, he made something of this. It shouldn't have been this close, but
do you know what's been missing? We have missed the BS Avova clutch of the day. Like, there's always, like...
True, there is always
a ninja defuse or something ridiculous. Like, we got it out of Scream and Navera earlier in the day.
Yeah.
It feels like that was a few days ago at this point, I'll be honest.
That's
Like, that doesn't feel like the same day. But... yeah, I don't think we've had the crazy of overclutch yet, so I'm looking forward to that coming up in this map.
Lucas heard all of this. Oh!
And we're back! The G2 BS round that comes every 5 rounds.
Give them pistols and they'll bloody win the thing. No shot. No shot. This is ridiculous. Why does this work on pistols?
His ult ran out.
He's fine.
He gets the kill with the classic instead. Oh, OG London United and letting rounds slip away that never should have been. We've still got a little bit of presence from the side of Destrian, but I don't feel like they're going for this at this point.
I can't believe G2 again. It's their ecos they're one of the weirdest teams to watch for it, right? Because it's so often, it's not just a one-off, these guys do it so often.
Down and out.
It's so impressive to an extent, and it gets them rounds, which is ridiculous.
Thrifty.
And OG, you're gonna have to deal with that. Be it a pistol, they pick up 2 at the start, and then they convert this one to make it their 3rd. Destrian and Boo just clutching hold of the rifles. I'm just... oof.
Nuke went back to the old faithful strat of me.
Right.
It's genuinely one of those things, though, that just I feel like every time OG London United gets straight into a spot of like, okay, we're building up some economy, we're getting to the point where we'll have a lot of our ultimates online. Oh, we lost a round to pistols. It's like no, this is the problem. Like, if you fix all of that, I think you're probably 2-0'd, in all honesty.
That ult coming in, I mean, it's to facilitate this crunch. And it's actually worked kind of nicely. Feku's found Mixwell. And then just exchange of utility is mad. And Voga's got Feku back and Elmo. What? This round's a madness. 3v2. Hoodie and Nookie need to fight their way out of it. They're kind of boxed in on this one. And actually, Hoodie's all alone. And he's still going to take Mozzie with him. And the 1v1.
Don't you? Is he actually going across the zip?
Yes,
he's mad. There's no one in their right mind would do that. Why?
What was...
Oh, this is a nice spot. That goes there.
I can. There will be nothing that anyone can ever say to me to justify why he did that. I'm gobsmacked.
This is wild. This is one that just...
You want to play?
There's been some moments in this game that are absolutely off the charts. Nookie, let's see what you got this round. Tour de force in effect, and the first punish, Molsey just lackadaisically walking back through a lobby. Not going to work out for him at all. And now player advantage swiftly to G2. You can already see them exploring the rest of the map as well. Hoodie going walkabouts himself.
They found my wire.
And what do G2 do with this now?
I'm still a little bit upset, to be honest with you. I haven't got over that play yet, but we are going to get into the site. Hype is here. Doesn't seem like he has any utility remaining to play with, so it's not like they're going to walk into a trip and he can get a cheeky kill off of it. And they're watching the smoke, very wary of this position being in play. Now, if they can reclaim control into main, they can get the res off. And that seems to be the plan, but there are a lot of people waiting for this.
Good flash, though. Going to get them to step towards it. Forces one away from it. Nookie has to come back around, try and face it. But look at the timing on this. OG, the timing on the crunch is gorgeous. Mixwell, though, still delivers 2 essential frags at this point, and Hype put in the corner. And he just wants to try and do something with it. But flash after flash. Tries to turn it, punishes Meadow, but they've got to know where Mixwell is. And he was holding that line. Mixwell just came up clutch this round for G2.
Just in true G2 fashion, they managed to break back after that previous round. It was an aggressive one, it was a messy one, but it's one nonetheless that they're going to be able to take things. And more importantly, it's just the damage that they're doing to the economy on the other side. Like, again, Oglu are never really able to get into any sort of position where they're financially strong. And that's so beneficial for G2.
Just, yeah, this has got to be a bit of a heartbreaker for OG, because this game has been relatively close so far. I mean, scoreline wise, right, the scoreboard wise, it has been relatively close, but I'm a little worried if you start seeing Mixwell finding a little bit of momentum for themselves, if you start seeing a little bit of these rounds just trickling across, the clutches coming out, and let's say Destrian's not having that same sort of impact. Molsey, 4 to 6, it's okay. I'm worried if G2 get that momentum and start rolling with it. That's where I get nervous, right? Because they're one of these sort of teams that can build off that so substantially. But again, with the money being where it's at for OG, well, we've got 4.6 on Boo, but everyone else not looking pretty.
I don't know
G2
why I
worked
did
it out,
to
man.
myself. I
What
went
have you
and
done?
watched it again.
Why?
Because in my head, I was like, was there like low time on the clock? No, there was over a minute. Makes even less sense the second time around.
It's one of those. Okay.
I love him for trying it. I love and hate him at the same time.
An aggressive start, but it's actually just going to push them in towards the other side. So Hype's waiting here with that player who's been made to be the beast, which is Boo. Flash comes in, eats a fair bit of it, but he does get to keep his life for now. No one able to close the gap, and the rotations are coming in, so they're kind of pushing the pull, trying to force G2 to show their hand, which, well, I mean, they've done to a degree. Smoke goes up. And it's, the scary thing is that there's not like depth to this buy, right? Feku's going to be still down on a Sheriff. Molsey's still down on a Sheriff. They don't have armor behind it. It is purely a hero rifle, and that is it.
I love that. So Destrian basically rotated to put down a smoke, to bait the fact that he's no longer there, so that he can go back to B and play Judge in tower. That was the whole play. Just trying to get them to move towards his position with this gun. Now, the re-aggression in towards Dish is going to be caught. Nuclear dropping one. If Boo can get the trade, it's not a bad position, but Nuclear again. Taking down both, leaving only one man to really defend it, and unfortunately for Feku, he's only got a pistol.
Yeah, and you can hear all these steps, and you're just feeling a little hopeless, and this is going to give it a damn good go, but the reality is that Mixwell was situated so well. And again, G2 keep things composed now. And I want to see G2 play with this composure, right? Like, it's been one of these crazy sort of games where it's been just kind of super out of the ordinary, not very robust in that regard. Like, okay, if anyone who is just one of these people like, oh, why are they being so mean to G2? They're playing great, they're winning 5-6. Right, okay, well then go back and watch, you know, FPX in their games. Go watch Fnatic's game. Go watch some of the other teams who are towards the top of their groups and tell me it's looked this quote-unquote close, right? It's not. And again, OG are still one of the teams that are relatively new to this league as such, right? They're one of the newer teams coming into it. I got to see G2 play like their favorites, right? They're one of the quote-unquote teams that can play internationally. I want to see them play like a team that's favored right now. Credit to OG for pushing them. But man, some of these rounds from G2 are making me nervous, but maybe that momentum sitting behind them a little bit now. They need to fight for this lobby control, which they're starting to do. Nuki are going to deal with Boo, who's the backline player. Molsey isn't really falling back from this yet.
And again, just giving this man jewels. That seems to be the one real danger at the moment. This lurk from Nuclear on either side of the map has caused issues, being able to find frags with the pistol as well, and even just claiming up the orbs here. Like, you look at the ults that are already online, you've got that Rolling Thunder available, but I don't know if they're going to utilize it because they've sold a pretty decent fake here.
The hype's still around, and we know that his value is just waiting gold. We saw it on Breeze.
Let's go the other way.
Is solid, and it's like, yeah, nah, don't fancy it. Let's go for a Wonder, and maybe rightly so. They can clear back through. The last contact they had was towards Molsey over by the door, so they can make this push up, but Molsey's sitting a little bit deeper this time, maybe ready for that rotation. But actually, the re-aggress towards the site already utility invested. Molsey has to back away from this, but he might be able to stop the cross. He can! Punishes Mixwell to flash a little too late for this, and Nuki now has to take on the challenge, and they're still unaware. Molsey, this is huge! Massive impact, and again, he's denying them. No one is making it to the site. He's spotted a Vova. Or I think he has. And his 10 seconds spike recovered, but no clutch in sight. And Molsey, thank God he stayed alive at the start.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most impactful neural thefts we've ever seen, which is not something I ever thought I would say, but just that one kill confirms the full rotation. And the thing is, I don't think they had enough smokes. So because of that, it's one smoke on a cross. Molsey had utilized the fact that he had all the information of where they were. He knew no one was in sight. He knew no one was in dish. So he can take that control and then just watch as they cross into the site. And well, I would expect that man to land those shots every single time. So fantastic work from Oglu, but it literally is just that one kill that came in on the other side of the map that actually ended up losing the round for G2. It's a little unfortunate.
Well, these tech timeouts. What's going on? We were doing so well. I did, you know, it was the last week, whenever it was, when I was working with Mike. Smooth day, no issues. I worked with you, Tom. Tech timeouts.
You're trying to blame me for this. Of all the people, of all the tech pause people, you're trying to blame me for this.
Yeah.
Let's just agree that somehow it's Doug's fault.
Oh, it's absolutely Doug's fault. Yeah, you're.
He probably woke up. He's like having maybe a little bit of lunch, just like, oh, you know, I'm gonna watch some EMEA. Oh, a pansy's on. Nothing bad could ever happen. Oh, cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. No worries. You gotta keep him in line. You know what I mean?
Keep him on his toes.
That's the one. But don't worry, Tom. I'll have a little read of chat. I'm sure we'll get some good insight of the everyman of Valorant. That's where you gotta go. Sadly, though, North America's woken up, Tom, so I'll actually ignore that comment I previously said. So,
is it just where is tens? Is that what's being typed in chat?
I heckin' love tens, bat chest. Yeah.
It's going well for him
TSM
recently,
waiting room was one comment. Right.
That's a classic.
It's a new one. We've never heard it before. Never been done. I love it. It's all right. There's no, you know what, there's no need. We're not going to go for it. Hopefully I get an update as to what the issue may be, because good Lord, how long will this take? We don't know. We are in this with you, and sadly you're stuck with us. You could mute, but, well...
Yeah, you could use this time to go get a drink. Like, the fact is, the longer this tech pause go, the more delayed TSM are actually going to be. So that's at least something a little bit funny about you saying that has caused the technical pause. Whoever that was, this is all on you. Definitely don't at whoever it was in the chat. Definitely don't do that and blame them.
That goes there.
Gotcha. On it. It was just I think it was just a little bit of an admin moment to make sure everything's good. And we will be back underway. So it wasn't actually like a tech pause, it was more like an admin pause, but we're good to go. 4 to 5. Back into things. I need to sit up again. I was starting to, slowly just slouch in the chair.
He was actually checking if someone's actually allowed to use neural theft effectively, because we don't know whether that's in the rule set because it's never happened before.
Oof. Okay. Punished by Boo this time around. Boo was the one who kind of copped a fair bit of damage at the start of the one before, leaving... Who was it on his own? I think it was Molesy who then, stepped up and delivered. But one thing I do see is that Hoodie, he's got a pistol. Now, does have an ult as well, so I don't know if that changes things, right? It does kind of even things out to an extent of G2's likelihood to win a round.
So what you're saying is he's going to step it up into high gear and then throw out the overdrive.
Right, Tom.
Yeah, my favorite ability names.
Is it past your bedtime?
He's throwing up his speed lane.
Sometimes they question me. They're like, why don't you call it what it is? Why don't you say what the names are? I'm like, have you heard what they're called?
30 seconds left.
All right. Well, that's a little bit of BM. 25 seconds left. I have a feeling there might be something going on, because this is quite a weird decision from G2.
Why are you not talking about the game?
Hopping.
God.
I'm assuming we're back in a technical pause.
We might be. We'll see. We'll find out. It's kind of fun, right? Who knows? Oh! It's looking like it's happening, Tom. Because all the maps, all the rounds weren't enough. We need all the tech timeouts.
My favorite. Yeah, knife kill. The G2 decided they didn't want this round. They wanted to give OG London United a chance. I also wonder if OG win this game, will this be the first important game that OG as a Valorant roster have ever won?
I don't know, Tom. I really don't know.
I could go look through their history, but I don't want to. Their French roster has definitely been some sort of weird decisions being made within it. That's why we haven't really seen them so much in a while. But
right,
that's going to be the thing going into next year, with a lot of things changing, like how it's actually going to work for some of these big organizations. Because that's the thing, you've got the likes of OG who've now sort of partnered up with London United. Obviously, you still expect to see the likes of G2, Fnatic, like your Liquids, but I don't know. I'm interested to see what sort of roster moves we're going to have and what sort of teams are going to be created going forward. Because, let's put it this way: after we've already seen it with for example, teams like T1, right? So, what's going to happen when this Masters goes through? Because ultimately, there are a lot of teams on the chopping block at that point.
Yes. Yeah, it is going to be that kind of grand shuffle, isn't it? And it does become just that free market, so it will be interesting. But I do believe it was Molesy who disconnected either now or in the last round, whichever one it was, essentially. So I think they were remaking one of the rounds. I don't know.
Okay.
Someone was talking to me. I did hear it, and then it went one ear and then out the other. So apologies for that. Probably should do my job better. But tech timeout. It's really worked down the energy in the room. But wait to see if Molesy is back yet. Still in the tech timeout, so hopefully it's not a long one, because it's OGG2, Tom.
Okay, so I think basically Molesy disconnected. It's going to be 4 Oglu 5 G2. I think that's the scoreline.
Okay.
If I've got that wrong, then that's a shame.
Right.
More
That's a shame.
interestingly,
Sure.
I want to know if you could take 2 players from EMEA teams, stick them onto one team, who are the 2 players?
What do you mean? Just any team?
You get to start a super team. What are the 2 players you're picking?
God, that is
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Like as a whole package, like the player behind it, or just like purely just in, like
Whole package. Like if you believe they're toxic, then they are. Like that's how this
What
works.
have you worked out? What have you worked out? I was gonna say.
And more interestingly, who do you believe is? No, I'm just...
That's funny. I have to say Nookie, surely. Like Nookie to me is one that I'd have to. I don't know, man. That's actually kind of hard. I'd say Nookie because I just think he's an all-rounder. But the problem is I don't know if I'd want him in the role he's currently playing compared to some of the other players that could play it. But just Nookie as a player, like the whole package of what he could do, I want Nookie in there. I mean, it's such like a base take to say just like Scream just because of like mechanical ability because it's Scream. But like, I don't know, maybe Navera as well. Like those two, like Nookie and Navera, maybe Leo. Oof.
You're splitting up the brothers. That's what I've heard. That was the first thing I took away from that.
yeah, that's fair. No, I'd say somewhere in the region of like your Nookie, Navera, sort of like Leo sort of deal. I'd say. Where some of the players I've really enjoyed, like not just like within one role, but like their span in Valorant so far of what they've done. Because it's very easy to look at like one player on like one role and be like, fantastic. I want that player to be that Jet. But I don't think this game long term you can do that. I think it's very hard to be a specialist on one role. So I'd say somewhere between them, I'd say they've filled a good couple of different roles. What about you? Where would you go?
I'm torn between. I think Leo's definitely a great shout. I think the one I'm torn between is either Chronicle or Durka. Like, I think those 2 shout. Are just like. I think Chronicle might edge it just because he can do anything. Like we've seen him play a Brimmy to like the highest standard of level.
Absolutely.
Then we've seen him switch over to the other side. I think if I was going like raw duelist, then I probably would just end up with Durka on the team. But that's again, I just feel like those 2 are like Leo. I just feel like you could genuinely have him on anything and it would work. It's why actually, if you're talking about pure recent form, I'd actually consider Soulcast as well because I just think that that man is. Like basically he's just a chameleon of Valorant. Like he's switched up his face so many different times that I'm like, what can he not play? And I think just because I've already put like that's what I've basically gone for. To start the team, like Leo and Chronicle is just nasty because it's like ultimately then whatever other pieces I get, I have people that can fill in the gaps.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like, I think if you get the kind of cornerstone of those 2 players, like either way you cut it, to me, I just think, that you can get yourself a decent duelist. You could just purely fill that role. You know what I mean? If you're looking at players to purely pick up, it's like, I want someone who can fill that, okay, the meta's shifting, or okay, we need someone to fill this, and that they'd be able to. So, no, I think that's actually a pretty good shout. Yeah, I didn't even think of Mech, and I really should have, because they've got some great players.
There's another one that I feel like is criminal, that Shao.
Yeah, Xiao's solid. Xiao is really solid.
God tier.
Xiao
has dropped like the highest kills I think I've ever seen on an Omen. Like I started playing Fade and it looks dirty.
His Fade is unreal.
One of the still probably could stick him on a Jet or a Raze and he'll do damage. And so it's just like, again, it just fills any role that I could ever need, and then I can just put in the rest along the way.
Okay, then hold on. Duelist from North America, where would you go?
Well, I feel like I have to go yay.
I know, right? It's like, I was just wondering if you'd stray away from the course of probably the most logical option. But you stick with yay?
Yeah, I think like if he wasn't an option, I'm there's other directions I could definitely lean. Like I think the way that Som plays, but then again, he's been sort of moving into different roles here and there. So like maybe again, just going for someone who could play at a few different positions at the same time. But yeah, I feel like if you don't pick Yay, you're making some weird decisions.
You're probably feeding.
And unless I really want to troll, and then I can just be like, oh, I'll pick someone who's actually not North American and go with Sire player, who's also a beast.
Yeah. And again, apologies for the delay. We are talking nonsense because there's nothing else to do. We'd love to go to a break, but we can't. they've lost the button for the break. I wish I could find it.
They've broken it.
They've broken it. So you're stuck with us. And again, we don't want to be here. We're like you. We want to be in the game. No one wants us to be here going,
the way you said that. We don't want to be here.
We don't. Don't worry. So we're in this hell together. And I hope you're having a terrible time like we are. No, it's fine. It'll hopefully be resolved soon. As soon as we get updates, we'll let you know. It's just player dependent, right? When the player's back in the server, we'll be good to go. So thank you for your patience. I do appreciate it. And do please let us know your thoughts. Give us something else to talk about because we're going to run out of options. And that's dire times. And I love the way everyone's just gone instantly for like, oh, I want, X and Y, just like give me the, duelist. It's like, yeah, okay, but give me that specific role. Give us the two that, okay, Chronicle and Durka, yeah. I kind of feel that. Do you think Durka's shown us depth beyond like his capability on Jet, genuinely?
I think he did initially, but I've been told there is a savior, so I don't have to waffle anymore because we're going to a 2-minute break, and I'm going to use that to go to the toilet.
Save us.
Have fun with whatever music you get, because I'm going to pee.
Dare to challenge yourself. Who's next?
I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I am no regular citizen. Do you understand what you're witnessing? You cannot tell what the difference is. I want it all and I'm winning it. I do not care about opinions. Time to make a few decisions so I can take a position. I'ma go get it, I'm punching and kicking. I keep on moving, they off of me. Just do it and stop at our talking G. I'm not expressing no modesty. I can't see nobody stopping me. If there's a problem, I gotta solve it. Straight to the top, I can't see myself falling. I gotta grab it, there's no time for stalling. Number one stunner, don't have other options. Now I'm fired up. I'm sorry, brother, your time's up. I see the top and I climb up. I came from the ashes, I rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I want it now, and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now, and I ain't never gonna back down. I gotta go for the gold. I need to switch up the mode. I'm gonna win on my own. I'm in a whole nother zone. I reached the pinnacle. I don't have time, this is critical. It's time to finish you. I don't care who I just did it to. I gotta go for the gold. I need to switch up the mode. I'm gonna win on my own. I'm in a whole nother zone. I reached the pinnacle. I don't have time, this is critical. It's time to finish you. I don't care who I just did it to. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now.
Dare to challenge yourself. Who's next?
They've told us it's good. They've told us, Tom, that we're good to go, and I'm going to believe them. And at 4-5, bloody hope it is.
Yeah, if not, we could be here a little while just predicting what teams we're never actually going to get the chance to make. But hey, it's always a fun game to play. 5-4. I won't lie, I've almost forgotten everything that happened, but I remember some scrappy rounds. I remember Nuke's been off to a decent start, but more importantly, we started to see a little bit of a resurgence from the side of Oglu. Still, though, in the last round, I think we saw an entry frag going in the direction of Boo, but it's a different setup and no real surprise there.
Okay. 4-5, we come back in, making sure that's correct. Seems good.
You are correct.
I'm nervous now, Tom. I've lost all faith in things.
It says round 10 at the top, so, it says 5-4. So I'm going to believe what's on the screen and the fact that Enrico told us that's correct. Nonetheless,
Okay.
Avova has managed to catch the aggression. The thing is,
Lord,
there's a
Hoodie.
flag coming in, but Boo's holding it.
How did Boo turn that?
Decapitated while he slides.
Ow! It's still not over yet. This is getting messy, though. This just looks so unrefined. The ult comes in to buy a second, maybe even to recover that spike potentially, because that's a bit of an issue. Navova going to try and grab it to hand, but quickly dealt with, traded out eventually, but Multi still stands and Multi still delivers. And Oglu back to business.
Again, there seems like there's opportunities in a lot of these rounds for G2.
Scoreline didn't change, Tom.
We're at 5-4 forever. No matter what happens, it will always be 5-4.
It's just like straight up Donnie Darko. Time doesn't exist correctly anymore. Oh no.
We're in the loop.
It's the Truman Show, dude. It's the Truman Show. I've just woken up to that same day, man.
You want to play? Let's
Never leave.
All right, now this becomes a memory game.
I'm not
So the
good at those.
scoreline is 5-5. Let's see how many rounds it takes us to forget.
I've written it down on my notepad.
Oh, good, because I haven't.
Well, good luck. And here we are in minimal casting mode. This is what we get paid for, Tom. This is the real deal. I like it. Here we go. There's gonna be Hoodie just trying to lead the way in, but Hype sitting up towards the top of the site, gonna find him instantly. And poor old Hoodie's having a bit of a nightmare game. And we have to hope.
Has he hit?
Too many targets and not enough time. Multi just dipped the hell out. It's like, guys, it never happened. I promise you, don't worry. And Nookie has somehow been ignored. And you can't ignore Nookie in these rounds. OG had every opportunity to deal with this early on, and they've absolutely whiffed it. And now just one player left alive, Destrian. God tier performance before, but he's gonna have to somehow kindle something insane to do any damage here, and I think he knows it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's that same strat again. And you know the one I'm talking about, the one when UK just kills everyone and we call it a good round. It's it's something that just seems so unsustainable, but this is the thing. He's put himself on an agent which is basically about fragging that earns him abilities that will allow him to frag more. He gets a free operator in a round where they basically didn't have the finances to go for much else. They try and use the overdrive, which, as we've seen so far, has achieved very little. And you're having fun. We're in to learn to count, and Destrian's learning to spell.
Last round before the switch.
5-6, Tom. In favor to G2.
Okay.
Don't sound like you're taking notes. You're like, let me get my notepad out. 5-6. All right. Good to go.
No, I don't think we lost count in there. I don't think we lost count, but
we're good. Don't worry about it.
You said it's 5-6, and it says 4-6.
It made it harder for me. It's one of those days.
There
Tom.
was one round and we lost count.
Oh, and Nookie is just doing him dirty. Takes Hype down, dips away, takes none of the utility work that was invested towards it, and he's looking to go back for more. Nookie, beautiful work. It's a 2-for-1 trade up, but you take it because look at what you've taken on the other side of the map. Hoodie can do what he can, but again, it's a little bit labored. He does come through the frag towards Feku. But again, look at the numbers of what remains. It's 2 standing for OG. The damage was done early on. I don't know what you can do to get back into this now.
Smoke's down.
Destrian hoping he can try and isolate one of the jewels, but this is all just bait. The thing is, he knows it. He's trying to Molotov off that corner. I don't think it's quite gone far enough to actually clear the position, so Hoodie still just sat within it. Teammate of Boo trying to make his way into the site. And the scoreline is now...
Go on, you can do it.
Switching sides.
Come on, Tom.
I love how Enrico's going. It's 5-7. It's 5. Don't say anything else. It's 5-7.
We love Enrico. He is our producer and he does the best he can. He deals with us. He is sadly having to babysit us.
He's got a little tally chart out right now.
He does. He's got his abacus. He's like, right?
He does. He just told me he does.
We're all in this together. Nice. It's 5-7, and your chat's helping you out. They're saying what it is. Apart from Rubio, don't you tell us it's 4-5? Don't you dare? How dare you? 5-7 is the scoreline, so do not fear. We're on the case.
In favor of
G2.
G2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got there in the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now G2, what side are they on? Are they on the defending side, Tom?
Too complicated.
Got
I'm gonna
you.
have to go back a year.
I mean, the UI just did. We've got the rollback UI. Shout out to you. All right.
Oh,
We can do
OG.
this. Oh, Mitchell forced the fight. Yeah, still works out. As if he gets away with it. Thanks, Becky. That's a bit of a nightmare. Oh, and that's going to haunt him as well. Completely unaware of Boo creeping up on the side. Nuke somehow finds that shot, and the spike's going down.
Spike planted.
Still a very good position for them. An attempted regress coming through from the attack as they know they have to try and take that little bit of extra space. And actually, it hasn't been spotted so much. This wraparound really possible. Trying to almost lock them in. They have to deal with this hoodie, though, is already going to pop the head of one. A second found as well, and Height. Good luck. He actually gets two, though. And that was a chance to find him over, but is burning. And gets the shots taken out as well. It is a little bit scary.
Okay. We do have a scoreline now on this view, which is great. So we're okay. We got it. Now, if someone can get in paint, makes a little overlay where it just says G2 on that right side and then OG on the left. That'd be lovely. Don't do it. Someone will get shouted at. Don't get creative. Just don't. All right?
Where is Mel? Bring in Mel. I want
Hello?
Pepe G2.
It's okay. We can work through this. It's fine. And look at you showing us the buy. Observer. God, you guys are great.
Smoke's down.
Shout out to you. So thank you for that. But at this point, you now look at what sort of damage can be done back, right? Like, where can you find that little bit of margin? And OG, I hope they don't run out of steam. But when you talk about depth, we talk about capability of, a roster, and do they have that to go to? You know the G2 do, right? Like, it's been proven in droves. We know that through time. But now we look at OG. Okay, do you have the capability to maybe pull off a round that we know G2 are synonymous with, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there a chance for that? So we have to wait and see.
I think the unfortunate truth is we're back in the world where they've
Watching
lost
this
both
spot.
pistols again. So it's like we're looking at what has been a back and forth game, a close one at that. But the problem is you lose both pistols. There's a very slim margin of you actually being able to win the game. I think it's like something like 80% of those games are converted by the team that won both. So it would have to be a miracle. And in a game where they've brought it much closer than the other matches we've seen, it would be a shame, but they've got a lot of work to do.
There's no doorway there. You know there's no doorway. Damn it, there we go. Maybe dropped. You can see it. Oh, that's great. G2 going to find 2 for a 1 trade out, and you can see the numbers now just drastically starting to favor, and OG unable to do too much damage. As G2 going to keep 4 alive and keep moving forward almost towards those double digits as well. 5-9 now. G2 starting to look a little comfier, but again, we know the pistols can kind of stand on their own accord, right? We've kind of seen that in the other maps where it has been pretty telling, but again, I'm waiting to see if OG can maybe do it in the gun rounds, right? Like, you've got to hope there's a little something to it in that regard. Oh my gosh, it's working. It's working.
Okay, we've got other
Working.
HUD.
It's working. We're 5-9.
Together.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I remember
Full faith.
I remember the score now.
Smoke.
It's in front of you, Tom.
Oh, I remembered it just before it came out. You know?
Right. Right, sure you did. Hoodie's had a little push-up he has. He's got one of the rifles. Hoodie?
Maybe he really wants to earn his overdrive, everyone's favorite ultimate.
Maybe. Maybe,
Probably
Tom.
not, though. I think he's
No.
just going to try and get a kill and get out of there.
That
thing
would
is,
be
though,
interesting.
He has to fade away. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Didn't seem good. Didn't
Of
seem good at
over-
all.
Has the molly. It doesn't actually clear everything. I think they could sneak through it, but it would be a huge amount of risk. They've already taken control of Dish as well. You can see Meadow almost just setting up, trying to delay them, deny them that further presence. They've just got to be careful they don't get flanked.
And it's going to be Meadow on the case trying to deal with this. He's got to know now this presence, and that's a problem. Here comes the pinch. OG surely going to commit on this. There it is. Cage goes up. Becky finds Hoodie. And Meadow just waiting for it. But the timing delayed for just the second. Hype gets it perfectly. And OG doing the damage they needed. Now, the buy wasn't good from G2, but Mitchell still making some damage out of this. We're into a 2v3. It's far more feasible than it was before. Looking to follow up. But again, those Spectres, Dom, they just can't find the range, but that could.
Oh, he's only got a couple of bullets left. That's the only problem. still both players having a submachine gun available. And with the health of Veku, maybe there's a chance. That's the thing, even doing damage here would be a nice little bonus coming through for G2. This crossfire, though, deadly as ever. I'm not going to give them a moment's notice. 9-6. G2 still in the lead by quite a margin, and now we get to see them actually with some sort of purchase.
Yeah, this could be a fight back moment. We saw they're willing to be aggressive. Now that might have been more just kind of cause of the buy, right? They didn't quite have the purchase behind them, but...
That flash did not work.
No, the flash was absolutely bin juice.
We did not need to leave that in the clip. We could have cut it just before that second.
Well, Mixwell, he's from Counter-Strike. You know, he'll know this. There's Tom. There's that flash. Oofed. But we go again, and Hoodie, he's doubling down on this. It wasn't just a one-time thing.
It's an uncomfortable battle. I guess now it's less risky because he doesn't have the only rifle, but
sure,
they're very much reliant on, firstly, the utility on the other side, not just completely forcing him off that position to begin with, but it's also like a triple stack up out towards A main. It leaves a lot of open positions, Tree being one of them. Instead, Nuke, he walked backwards into the angle.
I'm not sure.
I know exactly.
I'm not sure. I'm just going to leave it there. I was going to carry on, but I think that's best left where it is. And Mixwell now can be feeling the pressure starting him out towards that B side. But a perfect flash, but you're just fine, apparently. Absolutely fine. Looked completely blind. Wasn't. Plant going to come down. Yeah, no worries.
This is already looking like a save. That's the thing. I feel like there's been some absolutely incredible plays from Nuclear, and then there's just been some that have been so weird. Now, that one's just obviously, I don't think he expected to be shown to that angle. I think he was just checking under to make sure nobody was coming behind him and ends up just accidentally stepping one step back. But that's enough to give an opener, and then you just see what's left to Mixwell. He's just screwed. Like, he has to try and basically blind the people in front of him so that the people behind don't end up just killing him out. Like, it's a horrible scenario to be in. And now the remaining players, no choice, try and hold on to the guns. That is not easy, to say the least. Already over the last man standing, and he's being pressured.
Yeah, you can fit. Oh, he's trying to just keep his life. There's so many players. These seconds cannot go fast enough. He does get to keep the rifle. Just bloody hell. Also, I did just notice that Kakuka, during the meantime I was discussing our like dream teams, or you know, if you picked a couple of players, just spamming Shao at me, just yelling. Just straight up yelling. All right.
I also got a message saying thanks for mentioning Shao when I finally did. So there you go.
Fan club out here. I wish you fought for me like that. Bloody hell. Shao! Big Shao! All right, jeez, man. He's good. 7-9. And since the gun rounds have come out to play, I mean, OG have looked pretty all right. This game just feels so weird already. It kind of felt weird from the start, if I'm completely honest, Tom.
Yeah, I think the fact that we have now seen back-to-back maps where G2 have won both sets of pistols and it's still close, it's not a good sign at all. Like, I think it's great that OG London United are finally starting to come back to the table. I don't want to sit here and just be like, oh, G2 are playing bad, that's why this is happening. But
no, it's not purely that, but it's, you know.
But I just look at like the performance versus Fnatic. I think that's what's just stuck in my head. I don't think Fnatic even had to go into the strat book. I don't think it was opened. It was just Durka is going to screw them, and so is Alfaya. And that's the thing. Like, they have this ridiculous firepower that on the games where they're just the better team, they can just walk through it. G2 don't seem to have that right now, and they do have the players of that caliber.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
They definitely do.
Straight
like, Mixwell was doing it at the beginning of the game. He's just booming everyone. So that's why I'm quite surprised that, like, the role switch doesn't involve him going back to a superstar role, at least for this game. Because I think that there is no one on the other side he can't go toe-to-toe with.
No, it's certainly quite all right, and we have to see how it develops. We don't know how recently this change really came into effect, or into full effect, should I say. So again, it could be them trying to get used to these roles, feel it out. You know, that's maybe why it's a little bit slower to start to a degree, but again, so surprising to see it just not finding the same sort of reward or value that I kind of expected, but not for now as we are live into this. And you can see the purchase from G2. It's absolutely garbage, so it probably will work out for them. And OG better be on their toes. They know this is essentially a G2 full buy. And let's have a look at it. Nuke not going to find the shot he wanted. Tries to dip away. Hype going to catch Meadow, though. So already a good start for OG.
Yeah, I don't think there's much in this either. Like, you've got Avova, who could potentially try and get something done. He has his orbital strike if he really wanted to commit it to this round. And actually, he will. Interesting. They have a lot of faith in what they can do with the pistols. Now you've got the overdrive put into play, the finger blaster, trying to get something done on this site. But the fact is, 15 seconds, they need to get a plant, and here goes Hoodie already doing damage. 11 seconds left, and the rest of the team are looking to try and sneak their way forward. Just about, I think, going to get this one down. The HP firmly in their favor, and with so much committed, it's left onto Avova once again, trying to clutch this one out, and they can't quite do it.
No, Tom, they can't. 8 to 9.
Sorry, it was funny.
8 to 9. And that was a lot invested, you're right. A couple of ultimates coming in. Hoodies, obviously, of note earlier. But even the orbital strike and a couple of other pieces. You're right, G2 really did almost overcommit to this. It felt like a 1v2 at the end, but I just... a little surprised they kind of went in all in on this. But, all right. Fair enough.
They were very close to winning it, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you've lost an orbital strike, it's not the end of the world, but it is a high impact ult, especially when you get into those retake scenarios. But the overdrive, I think, is no loss, really. Like, it's every time that we've seen it utilized by Hoodie's been shot in the face, so I have no issue with that being thrown in. It's just the fact that the orbital strike, I don't think was necessarily needed. Like, they had good spots anyway, and with this disruption cause, could have done quite a bit more. Mixwell, he's almost down straight away.
Yeah. Oh. Nuki. He's alive. He's 36 HP, but he's alive. But look at the quick wrap around. Hoodie is about to be challenged. Wait, Nuki.
Still gets another.
Nuki still got Destrian in that? I don't know how he gets away with it. 36 HP. He's like tucked in the corner. He had no shot at getting that kill, and he does. Hoodie, though, back into things, trying to get towards the site, and he does. Takes down the one player who's on towards the spike itself. And now all 3 players are in tower.
Mosey's going to pop the showstopper, but they're going to actually molly it off instead. Already, we're going to see the counter, trying to stick it as far as he can. Destrian manages to get the kill. Molly out. Will it have landed? I think it has. And now they got the paint shields as well. They bought enough time. Just sat at the back. It may be halved, but there is not enough time on the clock. And Mosey will save them. That round was even closer than the last, but Oglu, 9-9.
Yeah, it was 5-9 at one point, as my notepad details. And you can see the resilience being shown by OG. Yes, the pistols are a problem. We've seen that, right? We know that. But once we go into these gun rounds, they're finding a new lease of life. And G2 just looking a little discombobulated, not quite looking like the team that you've known them to be. Even in their worst, they still have firepower, right? They still have that fiery approach. But this is just... I mean, Nuki is doing okay on 18-13. You know, he's doing all right. But it's not that, like, big pop-off, game-changing performance that, you know, he can have sometimes. And, well, call his name. Let's see if he appears. Doesn't have much of a chance at the very start of this round, but Avova might.
Who trained you?
It can't happen every time the OG London United are about to finally get into a good position. They can't just win a round with pistols and an ult that's been on up. I can't go. It's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen again.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It just is. There's not even any point, like, pretend, oh, maybe they can do something. No, they will. They're going to win the round with the pistols. They're baiting in Feku to try and make a push into the site. They're actually going to try and collapse on these players with the molly, still holding them in such a weird spot.
Okay, it's a 2-for-1. We take that. That's fine. I'm more nervous in this Sheriff round, this Shiko round, than I'm in a 4-buy. And Boo's just got an eyeful. He spotted Mixwell. I've noticed a little bit more here. Boo ready to try and challenge. Mixwell's in a whole lot of trouble. Boo's found him. Does Nuki get the clear? Not really, but Meadow apparently does. Okay.
No.
They're still going. And look at this plant. They're trying for it. Meadow's going to try and stick this. You're going to have Nuki holding it, but he's not held it long. He dipped away from the corner. And that's going to cost Meadow his life, and it's all but over. It's all but done. OG finally weather one of the storms that G2 was bringing.
I think we just witnessed the fault line winning the round because he had to switch away from using the tour de force. I did, because otherwise he would have had to basically just try and no scope it, which, well, at that point you might as well be using the pistol. Again, like up until the very last second, I believe they were going to win that round just off how G2 have actually been playing throughout this game. Genuinely look more deadly with the pistols. I think I'm getting flashbacks to CNED on binds just with how good they are with these sheriffs, but they have weathered the storm. Now it's going into a buy round, so Oglu should be fine.
1-for-1 trade. Looked like it could have been like a casual 3K, not. It's okay. And I'm just waiting to see how this round starts looking messy. Like, when does it start? For now, OG actually going to pop the ult on this too. It should reveal that there is actually only one player currently dedicated towards the B side. There is that rotation on route, so it's not going to be one player for long, but you can see already the intentions are confirmed. Wall goes up, and his poor old Mixwell all on his lonesome. How much can one man do, Tom?
He's got no util. So he's just got to rely on firefights, and they've just forced him out of the corner. Again, it seems like there's so many times now where Mixwell is just in an impossible scenario to win, and his teammates are nowhere to be seen. Already, easy trading just into the site, and well, it's left all onto Avova once again. We've been waiting, almost demanding one of his rounds, but I don't think this is it.
It doesn't have the look to it, and that cross would be monstrous to try and make. He's read this well, though. Hype's reposition. Yeah, he's read it. You can see the potential in this man, can't you? You can see the potential in this man! For the time! He just doesn't have it. And the cross was going to be watched by Destry, and that was the entire intent, but Avova will show you glimpses of greatness anytime you look hard enough. But this time, just a little too late in the day, but boy, did he give it a go.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm glad the clock was low, otherwise I would have just cast a cursed OG London United into oblivion.
Yes, you would have.
Ah, it's not possible. 3 kills later.
Bloody hell. What's that done to the money? Because surely, yeah, G2's money's run out, right? Like, I don't know what sort of buy they can fashion with this.
That's kind of the weird thing about this, is like OG London United haven't had a clean round really, but still their finances look all right just because they've actually been stringing them together. Like, as you said, it was what, 5 to 9 notepad check?
Yes. Yes, 5 to 9.
And how many in a row is that?
Don't make me count. The hell, Tom, I can take notes, I can't count.
11 minus 5 is really tough maths.
It is if you're English. Hoodie not having the great time either, but again, it's over. It has to be him to save this. He's one of the remaining rifles, him and Nookie, and they're all... Wait, Becco just turned. He just... Oh, dearie me. Becco just turned around. How did he even consider that?
Oh, if Avova just walked, he wins. If all he had to do was just shoot him. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he had the perfect flank. And instead, Veku has just won them the round. I don't know what can be done from this point onwards. Looking to go for the ace. Okay, fair enough. He's not going to get it, but it doesn't matter at this stage. OG London United, 1 round away from taking the win versus G2. Now, find me a person who doesn't work for OG or London United who predicted that going into today.
I'll tell you there's very few, Tom. I will tell you there's very, very few, because this...
Weirdos.
Correct. This, again, and in the fashion it's happened, right? Watch this back. Tell me it's felt like a normal game. Tell me this is a team that could barely get rounds against Fnatic. OG looking like they've turned over a new leaf. They're doing exactly what is required of them. And G2 on the other side, they ain't. They don't look like a team who's robust or a team that's cohesive. They look in pieces here, in shambles. As OG, you give them a chance, they'll absolutely take it with both hands.
Oh yeah, and G2, well, they're always a team known for fixing things. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they come back next week and look like a new team once again, but...
Of course.
There's only so many times you can stick that band-aid on and manage to make your way through into a playoff stage. They are trying to do it here and now. They're trying to stop OG London United for having their first victory, a victory that I think many thought would never come, me included.
Sure.
Not going to pretend to be on a high horse here. Even still, though, G2 have delayed them at least in the early stages of this round.
But look at the ults as well. OG have a good few to kind of set into motion. First invested Hoodie maybe on the chopping block here. He's got Meadow by his side though, so can they maybe pull it together in these moments? Meadow can, at least for one, but now there's more problems. The pace going to get picked up, but Avova going to fill that gap. And now G2 are looking like they want to brawl on this. Now they want to try and take the fight to them in a 3v, what, 2? Make it back to 3. And now even numbers, the HP becomes a problem. Meadow's the walking wounded. Lacerations are plenty. Nookie trying to predict the rotation, and he's right.
Tagged though. Already low on health, 54 remaining, but if he can just buy time, that might be enough. The spray down already grants one. He's gonna catch them on the cross as well. This man is trying to drag his team, kicking and screaming. A triple to close out a round that again looked like OG London United were in a solid spot, but one man stands in their way, one man at the top of the board, and G2 aren't down and out just yet.
Still hope. Limited, but it's there. But for OG, this is a time to be tested, right? Do they have the metal to close out a game like this? Because sometimes that last round is the hardest, right? It's the one that feels so elusive because you're so close to it. And it slips through your fingertips. But we know the G2 have that depth. They're one of the favored sides in that regard. Scrappy. A brawly team. And relentless aggression, it seems like, is the name of the game. But what does OG do with this now?
I have the spike.
There's actually no one really within the site at this point. Almost looking like a retake setup. Now there's a fair few ultimates, one of them being a Rolling Thunder, which I think is the reason we're seeing such a passive hold. Mixwell as well, just one orb away. But here we go. You're trying to find something, but actually this time nothing comes of it.
Nice edge. Molzy gonna pop the ult, try and clear toward tower, but Hoodie's want to find Feku, and this is starting to look scary to me, Tom. I'm getting nervous for him. Nookie watching this. Or trying to at least. They want steps towards the spike. The spike's still towards tower. Being forced away for a moment. Wall goes up, trying to buy just a second of safety. Plant's gone in, and now the time's on their side.
Rolling Thunder straight through, but they need to break the wall. They've done it. Hoodie in towards the site, just trying to spam throughout the smoke, hoping to clear some of these positions. Molzy, though, he's hit the timing almost perfect. Molotov also goes out, but Hoodie still just running and gunning. Trying to get them back to 11, trying to give them a chance. Destrian with a nice shot. Gives them an opportunity, but both players trapped on the same angle. Avova just needs to fight, but the swing back comes through. It's left onto Hoodie, but the defuse is almost there. Destrian this time can't stop them. And again, someone steps up when G2 needs it.
12 to 11. OT or GG, that's it. And OG's starting to sweat bullets. They can pull up a buy here. They can get a buy going, but these last couple of rounds, you're starting to see that depth in G2, that grit, that determination, that player depth that we know is there. That's why you favor teams like this. Just statistically, it holds true, and also you're seeing it tangibly in front of you here. Nookie opting for the op this time around. Rifles galore elsewhere. Ult-wise, Mixwell's got his. Destrian not far off, neither is Hype, but again, Hoodie, rinse and repeat, same scenes, but a new look coming out from OG.
Yeah, they're trying every portion of the map at this point. An A main fight that goes wrong. A swing through tree and arcade that doesn't work. The only place remaining to make the hit is Dish, and it seems like Meadow is waiting and watching. An operator out as well. So much deep control in towards one side of the map, and okay, the smoke's going to at least give them site control. But I do worry that this player just lurking outside is going to be screwed, but Feku, he's done well here.
He has done well. Takes down an impact player, to say the least. Nookie now gone. You look at what's remaining. Hype forced to fight. He actually wins it. Takes down Hoodie. No trade comes out. No one's close enough by to make the most of it. There's still hope alive in this. Avova with a quick trade, and Molzy still sat here. Has to win this fight. Doesn't. G2 tearing this back. And now a 3v2. Destrian and Boo. My, are we really coming down to this? Meadow gonna try and get on that spike, do what he can, but it's already gonna be pulled away from this. Meadow's gonna find Destrian, leaving it all in the hands of Boo. Any chance of this? The HP is so low! Oh, he might have done just enough! And now he's got a toy with Avova, the Clutch King himself, and Avova! He's gone down! OG! Besting G2! I can't believe what we've just seen, Tom.
No, I think if you were giving me predictions at the very beginning of the day, this is not one I would have ended with. I think picking a player of the match, it's going to be a pretty tough one, but there's definitely one man that springs to mind. And overcoming losing both pistols in that final map to win it out in a clutch like that, damn. OG London United, you have earned your first win in the VCT.
I don't think I could have said it better myself. That is truly hard fought for. And you saw that G2 performance coming back online, Tom. You saw that look of it. You saw them starting to heat up at the end there, and they got control of the game again. So credit to them for that and for an arduous long series. However, we ask of one more thing of you guys at home. Let us know who your MVP was. You've got your options down below. Tom, though, bigger picture, is this an underperformance from G2, an overperformance from OG? What does that mean for the Fnatic game that we saw before? I mean, how can you extrapolate information from this? Because this just kind of throws everything else through a loop now.
I'll be honest, I feel like this almost just makes the group clearer. Like, I think you just have three favorites now. You're looking at Ascend, you're looking at Fnatic and FPX. I think G2 they've now got to beat both Ascend and Fnatic to get through. Like, that's what they're up against. And one of them is already going to be 3-0 in the group. So it's going to be a really rough road to take. If any team can do it, it is G2, but they've got to fix a lot of stuff for next week.
They have their work cut out, and as do the analyst desk. They've got to kind of break down everything we just watched. So guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Penzi and Tom. What a hell of a game we just had. Going to Fracture, and just by the skin of their teeth, OG London United make it through and defeat G2. Their first victory, they beat G2. Is this replicating stage one all over again?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Stage one, it was all about FPX, the undefeated team, but that OG London United that took the win. What we have witnessed today, I think overall the day has been a big upset, but what we just witnessed, especially on this map, a lot of role swaps again. G2 with Nuki on the chamber. At some point, it literally looked like it was him and Hoodie trying to stop what Oglu was doing on the attack. Because on that first half, you know, it was a little bit 50-50, a lot of hectic rounds. But when it came to the attack, Oglu was so prepared. Like, the executions were definitely there. Tom was mentioning it. It's not that we haven't seen them like use all the parts in the map. So really happy with what we saw, and also, you know, breaking that stigma of losing the pistol rounds.
I mean,
losing the game.
Oglu, you know, in my eyes, they don't have the star players like G2 has, for example, but they do work better as a team. And the numbers are also like, if you would show me the numbers from this game alone, I would like, yeah, G2 wins this, you know, without showing the scoreline, of course. They had 15 first bloods. The opponents had only 9. Apart from that, we have seen so many like just advantages being done by G2 and not converting them. In 5v4 rounds, G2 didn't convert 3 of them, and they had 9. So they only had a 66% success rate of converting a 5v4 round. It's crazy how much work Oglu did put themselves through to make certain they can make a comeback by losing 4 pistol rounds 2 maps in a row. Actually insane.
Got to be a massive tilter, including the fact that Nuki, a lot of people would be thinking, you know, somebody is kind of posting in chat, oh yeah, I'm really loving this OG London United versus Nukia game today, because it's a really tough one to have. Nukia all aboard the entire time.
Exactly. You were mentioning how those 5v4 situations were not in the favor of G2, but most likely it was going to be Nukia probably just going on the hunt for that first kill, and maybe on the other side of the map not being able to take advantage off of that. So as you said, OG London United just proved that at the end, it's about being a better team itself.
Well, standings, this is where this all leaves us at the end of day 1 of week 3. Well. G2 unable to take the win. OG London United, of course, going up with now 1-2, tied with G2 in at least their win-to-loss ratio. On the other side, Team Liquid falling to Guild, who remain the only undefeated squad here, at least in Group B.
Crazy day. Absolutely crazy day. When I was going here today to Berlin, I was like, yeah, Liquid probably will take it. G2 should take it. And now we flipped the switch. Both teams lost. Actually crazy. Like an unexpected day for me.
I kind of understand, you know, if G2 wanted to try this thing out, if they had spotted their problems and they wanted to find solutions, maybe they thought that today was going to be like the easiest day in their group to get the reps, to actually see if things work. It was extremely close either way, but I'm kind of loving seeing Guild having the same start that they had at the beginning of the year.
Should have been a freebie for G2. It did not end up in this way. A lot to dig through, but more matches also for the rest of week 3. We got day 2 and 3, and this is what day 2 looks like. As always, 2 best-of-3 series, Big versus Na'Vi. Battle for the bottom in their group, but who actually takes that gold there? Fnatic versus Ascend. You're looking today at Guild versus Liquid. That's the big one. Fnatic versus Ascend is the one for their group. Final thoughts before a wrap-up?
Today has been crazy. I do not know what tomorrow has for us on that second game. You know, the first one, it really excites me because I expect to see the growing from Big from these 2 weeks into the other half of the stage. But that second one meant, I don't know.
My last words will be a shout out to Boo. That clutch that he managed to do in a 1v2 at the end, it was all done because of a wide swing that he predicted the position of the opponents. He essentially just Ferrari peeked to the left and cut an angle from the one player that will be holding him to kill the diffuser. That was beautiful, and congrats, Boo. You got the first win for your team because of that.
There it is. Best region in the world, EMEA. And up next, our baby sister region, North America. If you still want to come in and watch, don't you worry about it. All the action is coming to you live on stream. See you tomorrow for more EMEA action.
You can't stop me now. You can't stop me now.
Yeah, it's gonna keep on going. Hopefully for